This is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. The city of Vancouver, a jewel on the Pacific, where two drivers emanating from racing's first families have turned the streets into their private playground. Only two names are inscribed as kart winners here. Michael Andretti, the first pole sitter in 1990, is listed 3 times. And Unser Jr., the man who would claim the inaugural victory, has ruled on 4 occasions.
This is really something to win 4 in a row, which it looks like he's going to do it, and there he is.
The checkered flag in the first Vancouver Molson Indy as white Unser Jr. will win the 1993 Molson Indy Vancouver. Here comes the checkered flag for Unser Jr. Unser Jr. wins. And this will break the tie because Michael Andretti has won twice, and Unser Jr. has won twice as well. Unser Jr. wins in Vancouver. It's official for the 3rd time. There is the checkered flag as he raises his left fist in the air. Unser Jr. is the winner. Michael Andretti now taking the checkered flag. Michael Andretti has won for the 5th time in 1991. Michael Andretti has won the 1992 Molson Indy Vancouver, making it a 1992. Michael Andretti trying to win for the 5th time in 1996 and the 3rd time in Vancouver. Michael Andretti wins. There's Bobby Rahal.
But an heir apparent to a kart title threatens to join the exclusive winner's circle in Vancouver. He's Alex Zanardi. The Players PPG Kart World Series rolls on in the Pacific Northwest. Today, race number 15 of the 1997 season, the Molson Indy Vancouver. Now, live from Concord Pacific Place, let's join CBC's voice of racing, Brian Williams.
Bob Boving, thank you. As we come live to Vancouver on this Sunday afternoon, what a day for racing. Bright sunshine, temperature in the low 20s. It's the 15th race in this 17-race season, the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Vancouver. Good to have my regular partner, 3-time Indy 500 champion Bobby Unser back with me. Hard to believe. We've been here 8 years. We've worked all 7 races, only 2 winners, your nephew Al and Michael Andretti. That should change here this afternoon.
Well, I certainly think it will. Michael is going to be fast today and could win the race. Little Al doesn't have much of a chance. The guy to watch, obviously, going to be Alex Zanardi. He's awesome quick, but he's awesome quick everywhere. He's on a hot streak, Brent.
We have special features, by the way, coming up in the next 30 minutes on both Zanardi and the pride and joy of Maple Ridge, BC, the top Canadian qualifier, Greg Moore. Talk to me about the number 2 driver here today. Bobby Rahal has had success here, although he hasn't won in IndyCar racing since Nazareth in 1992.
I know, but you know, it's just like down in Brazil this year. He is fast. He's hot, and he's got the confidence. He's smooth, and he's smart. Bobby's starting on the pole. Anytime he qualifies this good here, you can better believe he's going to be, if he doesn't have mechanical failure, he's really going to be tough today.
Very quickly, if you had one long shot to pick this afternoon, who would it be?
Oh, a long shot would probably Blundell. Probably Blundell would be the long shot I'd pick.
All right, you like Blundell, I like Gugelmin, their teammates. Working with us in the pits again this year, Derek Daly, and from ABC Sports, a great friend of Bobby's, Jack Arute. Jack, good afternoon, and it is good to have you back in Vancouver.
Well, thank you, Brian. It's great to be back in Vancouver, and standing next to me, as he did last year, is Alex Zanardi. But things are different this year, Alex. You're on the verge of winning $1 million and the championship. Does that change your strategy going into this race?
Not much. Obviously, we believe we have enough speed to stay at the front, and that's the safest way to handle a race. If after the pit stop for some unfortunate situation we ended up behind somebody, I won't take any risk, any chance to try to get back in front. But once again, you know, there is no reason why we shouldn't be trying to win the race if we can.
You say your team is much different this year, that the team can either win or lose the championship. What do you mean?
Look, Jack, there is a million of things that can go wrong in a race. That's why it's exciting for the fans. And about 900,000 are not on your control. I try to do the best, and the target Chip Ganassi Racing is trying to do the best. For the 100,000 we can control, then we need a little bit of luck.
Well, he'll roll the dice. Let's check in with Derek Daly.
Well, Jack, by far the biggest support today will be for this man here, because he lives just down the road. Greg, it's great to see you running so well all season long, but is this a very special event for you?
This is awfully special for me just because I'm home. I mean, you see, you know, the sun's smiling on us again this weekend, and, you know, to race at home in front of the hometown fans is just spectacular. I mean, everyone supported me so well, and I'd like to repay them with a victory or, you know, even a podium finish sometime.
Now, your engineer, Steve Chalice, very close personal relationship there, too. He made some changes last night to the car. Any comments after this morning's warm-up on full tanks?
I think that we're, you know, we're looking pretty good. You know, we made a lot of changes to the car. I think we improved it a lot. You know, this morning we were on really, really old tires. You know, when we pitted, we were third, so, and then everyone else put new tires on and went much faster. But I'm looking forward to this afternoon. I think that a lot of the passing is going to be done in the pits, and we proved in Detroit that we can pass people in the pits.
He's been Mr. Excitement most of the season. Don't take your eyes off him this afternoon, Brian.
All right, Derek, we will have a special Greg Moore feature coming up, but up next, we'll hear from the man that can win it all here today. He's from Bologna, Italy. Alex Zanardi is next.
The Molson Indy Vancouver on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Canadian. By the Players Racing Team, proud supporter of motorsports in Canada for over 35 years. By Chrysler, proud to be a sponsor of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. By Midas, for new longer-lasting performance friction carbon metallic brake pads. By Pennzoil, there are no limits. And by MTS.
Beautiful pictures of a truly beautiful city on this Sunday afternoon. The budding superstar in Indy Car racing is 30-year-old Alex Zanardi from Bologna, Italy. He came up through the ranks of Italian Formula 3000 at a brief spin in Formula 1, but he crossed the Atlantic to make his mark in Indy Car racing.
This car feature brought to you by Chrysler, proud to be a sponsor of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver.
I guess I'm not afraid of taking risks once that I believe that those risks are worth the kind of prize is there to be won.
It was apparent to me that if he tested our car and basically didn't crash, he was going to be driving.
Driving is Alex Zanardi's middle name, and he knows how to celebrate a victory. He's won in all circumstances. On an oval at Michigan, where his current hot streak began. Then on a permanent road course dominating in Lexington, Ohio. And even from the pits at Road America, where Zanardi got the jump on Mark Blundell on the fuel stop, a move which led to his third triumph in a row. And his trademark victory dance.
If you're playing poker and you have 4 aces in your hands, you don't throw one away just because 4 is too much. I mean, you play with the 4 you have.
He's been around the block, so he understands what it takes to be a success.
It's a Lotus, and it's Zanardi. right, Zanardi.
Zanardi's career in Formula One was a fiery baptism. He drove for Lotus after brief stints with Jordan and Minardi, but he may have pushed too hard for success.
My problems in Formula One, I had a lot of expectation, because when you do one mistake, then the following time you go out again and you wanna just do something in order to make people forget all the bad things you did before, just in one go. And once again, by doing that, you may do a bigger mistake.
And that looks like Zanardi there. It's been a miserable weekend.
He came to kart last season, highly recommended and highly motivated to take advantage of a chance to be competitive.
I had a great opportunity with Target Chip Ganassi Racing. Normally it doesn't happen to a rookie that he has the possibility to drive right away for a good team, a team that is capable of winning races.
Alex is a great blend of somebody who understands the dynamics of a vehicle, and at the same time, though, he can he'll throw the dynamics out the window if he's got to make a pass, and he'll just pull the car up by its bootstraps and do it if he needs to.
Now just 10 car lengths separate Gilles de Ferran. Oh, less than that now. Oh, Alex Zanardi. What a move. He was not going to be denied passing that back.
Cleveland was a great example of his daring style as he came from 22nd to 1st. He's always thinking win.
You know, sometimes you have to try to identify, psychologically speaking, the kind of challenge you have in front of you. I would have never tried something like that with some other guys, so it worked.
Once his mind is made up, you know, you don't want to confuse him with the facts.
One of his trademarks is these victory spins or donuts that everybody seems to enjoy. Do you enjoy them?
I really do. I have to admit, I think it's a great addition to the series. It adds some excitement. God bless him if he wins. We're going to see him again.
Does he ever damage the car? Does it cost you any money that he does those donuts?
Well, we don't discuss that sort of thing on in the public.
This kart feature brought to you by Chrysler, proud to be a sponsor of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver.
And up next, we go for a different kind of a ride. We'll go for a boat ride. And we'll talk with BC native Greg Moore. Stay with us. We'll continue live from Vancouver right after this. And on this Sunday afternoon, back live in Vancouver, we should be racing in about 15 minutes from now. He is the top Canadian qualifier, a winner of 2 races this year, and the local favorite, Maple Ridge's Greg Moore. Friday afternoon, I had a chance to talk with Greg Moore, a candid conversation with a composed young driver. Greg, you came into this season saying you had to perform, not for your sponsors, but for yourself.
I did, and it was last year was a season where we didn't win a race, and it was, you know, it's very unfortunate we didn't win a race because we, you know, I probably should have, you know, I had a lot of good races, you know, but we didn't, and you know, it was for myself. I got to the point where I had done, you know, I think 16 races, and I hadn't won a race yet, and that was the longest dry spell I'd ever had. And I knew that I was fast enough, but you start to think, you start to get to the point where you're thinking to yourself, what do I have to do to win one of these races? And once we finally won it, you know, in Milwaukee, it was just sort of like, no, that was easy. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to try any harder. You just go out and do your job, and you know, sooner or later, one of these things will come.
When you did win, you had back-to-back wins, Milwaukee and Detroit, but when you finally won in Milwaukee, can you put into words what went through your mind, not only as you crossed the finish line, but when you got out of the car?
You can't really. I mean, it's, you know, I still watch the tape on TV, and, you know, you see, they show pictures of Steve Chalice, my engineer, you know, just, they show him, and he's just like, you just see him take a huge, big, deep breath, and, you know, my dad, you see him, he's got tears in his eyes, they show me, and I still watch that and get a tear in my eye. It's just so special, and that's something I will never, ever forget. And, you know, it was 12 years in the making, 12 years of working to get there. And
you talk about emotion and passion. You're a fighter. You're competitive. You've had run-ins this year with Paul Tracy, Alex Zanardi, both on and off the track.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've had a couple run-ins with Alex this year. You know, nothing big. You know, I guess Toronto was the biggest this year, but I guess that's what happens when people are very competitive. I mean, you don't see a driver going out and not being aggressive and you know, winning races. You see a guy you look at Alex, or you look at myself, or Paul, you know, or Mark Blundell, you see, we're all very, very competitive people. We go out and we're willing to take chances.
When you're competitive, you're driven, you want to win. It led you, I understand, to blast your crew after Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Do you regret that? Did you learn from that?
I did learn from that. I really, really did. You know, a lot of people tend to forget that I'm still 22 years old, and you know, I make mistakes, and you know, I shouldn't have blasted the crew like that, like you know, the way you said it. You know, I said a couple things that I probably shouldn't have.
You're in the third year of a 5-year contract, yet everywhere I've been this year, we ran into you at the Montreal, the Canadian Grand Prix in Toronto, here in Vancouver. I keep hearing Greg Moore is unhappy. He's going to Formula One next year. What's the story?
No, I'm here. I'm here for next year for sure. And you know, I've still got 2 more years on my contract. And I think for a 22-year-old guy, I think I'm in a very, very good situation. Probably one of the best situations I could be in the world. Just because I'm with a company that understands motorsport. They understand if I make a mistake that, you know, okay, hey, everyone makes mistakes sometimes. And, you know, Formula One is not a big ambition of mine. You know, it's something that if I've won this championship a couple times, because that was my dream, was to be an IndyCar champion, to win the Indy 500, to be the IndyCar champion. And, you know, if I've done that a couple times by the time I'm 26, 27 years old, then I may look at Formula One if the opportunity arises. But, you know, not for a while, that's for sure.
Greg Moore, Jacques Villeneuve, Paul Tracy, Scott Goodyear, the list goes on and on. I'm asked this question all the time. What is it about this country? We have a small population base, yet Canada produces so many great drivers.
I mean, we really, really do. I keep telling everybody it's the water. You know, we've got such great
That's the water in Maple Ridge. Larry Walker,
but,
Cam Neely.
No, I think that a lot of it is because of the tracks that we've raced on. You know, growing up, you know, we race at Beausport, which is an unbelievably challenging track. We race at Mont-Trumbull, which is a very challenging track. You know, Shannonville, all those kind of tracks. They're very, very aggressive tracks, very challenging tracks for a race driver.
Also, what about the support? Jackie Stewart once said to me, I asked him, I said, what will it take for Canada to produce good drivers? He says it will take corporations to stand up and back young Canadians.
And without a doubt, I mean, you look at, you know, Jacques, you know, you look at players. And you look at Jacques, who was the first guy from the Players Driver Development Program, they call it. I guess when Jacques was there, I was the new guy in. And, you know, I was racing Indy Lights, he was winning the IndyCar Championship. And, you know, I was fortunate enough that when I won the Indy Lights Championship, he won the IndyCar Championship, and he went to Formula One, so I got his ride.
You are home. We're sitting here, beautiful setting, not far from Maple Ridge. You're standing 4th in the standings. You were 9th last year. Can you put this season into perspective for us?
You know, I think, realistically, I think we've had a fairly good season. You know, just because we've shown well. We've got 3 seconds. We've got 2 firsts, 4th, 5th. You know, and, you know, there's still 3 races to go. There's still an opportunity to win a couple more races.
Take me ahead 1 year. We're sitting here a year from now. Where would you like to be?
Clinch the IndyCar Championship. And, you know, here we are, come home. We've won the championship. And, or we can clinch it here at home. You know, we need 4 or 5 points to clinch the championship. That would be something very special.
Well, before you clinch that championship, good luck this year in Vancouver.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. 99, Greg Moore's car. He'll start fastest here this afternoon. Bobby Unser, the captain of that boat, it's called Strike Force, said to me, by the way, I'm taking Bobby Unser salmon fishing before this is all over. Stay with us. We're just about set to go racing. We'll return live to Vancouver right after this.
We'll get some pizza. No.
Back live in Vancouver on this Sunday afternoon. Great conditions for racing. We're just about ready for the opening ceremonies. Bobby Unser, a quick thought on those comments from Greg Moore.
Well, my thought is it's a nice deal when a big-time race driver can admit that he makes mistakes, Brian.
He did that indeed, a candid conversation. 28 cars will run here this afternoon. Alex Zanardi will start on the pole position, followed by Bobby Rahal, Jimmy Vasser, Michael Andretti, Mauricio Gugelmin, and Brian Herta. The top Canadian starting 9th fastest will be Greg Moore. We'll run down the entire field in just a minute. But as promised, we're ready for the opening ceremonies in Vancouver. Let's join David Kincaid. David?
To welcome you here today, it's my pleasure to introduce from the company that has made the Molson Indy Vancouver possible, the President, Western Division of Molson Breweries. Please welcome Blair Shire.
Thank you, David. And on behalf of Molson Breweries, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all you race fans that have joined us here today for the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver at Concord Pacific Place, as well those of you joining in on the CBC and RDS network across the country. Today's race will be seen in over 150 countries with an estimated viewing audience anticipated in excess of 55 million people. Yes, together, Vancouver, we have truly made this a world-class event. It's our 8th great racing weekend here in the city of Vancouver, and we're extremely proud and grateful to the citizens of this city who enthusiastically embrace this weekend of racing and entertainment on our streets as we showcase our city around the world. A race of this size delivers tremendous economic impact to the city of Vancouver, and it cannot take place without a lot of help from a lot of different people. And I would like to thank the City Council of the City of Vancouver, who have been supportive of the Molson Indy since our first race. I'd like to thank the hundreds of volunteers who put in thousands of hours to make this race possible. And I'd like to thank you, the race fans, who have shown up in tremendous numbers for 8 successive years. I'd also like to extend our very best wishes to the teams and the team owners for a very safe and successful race today. This year's kart series has been a great one for the Canadians on the circuit. Patrick Carpentier from Joliette, Quebec sits on top the rookie points race. And from West Hill, Paul Tracy won 3 races earlier this year. And of course from the lower mainland, from Maple Ridge, BC, Greg Moore thrilled Canadians when he won back-to-back races in Milwaukee and Detroit, and in doing so became the youngest driver ever to win a kart race. To Paul, to Greg, have a great race, and to all you race fans, thanks again for joining us, and remember to take care. Thank you.
Some well-chosen words there from Blair Shire, the president, Western Division of Molson Breweries. Thanks very much, Blair. And now, with just moments until those 4 magic words we've all been waiting for, we have with us to officially announce the start of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver, Mr. Bob Enright, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Western Holdings Incorporated. And with him, Mr. John Barnett, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Molson Breweries. Just before we get the 4 most famous words in motorsport, gentlemen, your predictions for the outcome of the Molson Indy Vancouver, and you know we're going to hold you to them.
I'll go with Paul Tracy.
A great driver.
A great driver. Well said, Mr. Barnett. And we're going to ask the audience to help us count down to the 4 most famous words in motorsport in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Zanardi will start on the pole position here this afternoon. This circuit is extremely difficult to pass on. It's been compared to both Long Beach, California and Detroit in terms of the importance of starting position. There's Ray Hall on the left, the second fastest qualifier. Alex Zanardi said earlier the safest place to be on this track, Bobby Unser, it's so tight and it's so bumpy, is out in front and in front of any trouble.
Well, you can bet it's going to be an issue on who gets to the first turn first because of, as you mentioned, it's hard to pass on this racetrack. And then the straightaway, the long straightaway and the hairpin at the end called Chrysler turn. Watch all the action down there. Everybody stay tuned.
Car number 4, Alex Zanardi with a 39-point lead, 2 races to go. The maximum number of points per race is 22, so you figure it out. If he's leading by 45 points or more after today, he gets the $1 million bonus as the champion. Now, the first turn is a left-hand turn onto Pacific Boulevard. And then they go down Pacific Boulevard. The fastest portion, there's Greg Moore, the ninth fastest starter, fastest portion of this racetrack. Chrysler Corner is at the end of the long straightaway. Not too many passes made anywhere except at Chrysler Corner, and also on the final corner coming into the start-finish straightaway. There's the easy left-hand turn after the start-finish straightaway, then down onto Pacific Boulevard. This is the fastest part of this race course. They will pass Bobby Unser and explain how they do it under braking as they approach Chrysler Corner.
Right. Ironically, you won't see much passing down the straightaway. They all run pretty much the same speed. But boy, when they go down into that turn, it's what we call a braking contest. Hook right there. When they come down there, they're running 180, 190 miles an hour, and they brake and go around this, which is really a 180-degree turn all the way around, even though it's kind of a long one. It's a nice turn.
On board with Bobby Rahal. He's trailing this man, the pole sitter, Alex Zanardi.
That's the first chicane. We have two chicanes. Now we're going to go under the tunnel here. See how it's dark in there? Now everybody needs to watch and imagine how the drivers are. They go from sunlight to darkness and right back out into sunlight. And at the other end of this little tunnel is going to be another chicane. Now these chicanes are meant and put in there to slow the cars down so they won't have as many accidents. But you can't pass in them. You have to go through them single file. Occasionally you'll see somebody lapping a slower car and passing through there with both guys helping a lot. You just normally can't get two cars through there, Brian.
This will be a 100-lap race. There are two warm-up laps, the first of two the car's on right now, followed by a pace lap, and then they will start counting. We're on the first of two warm-up laps as they warm the tires and move from side to side. And I think right now, Bobby, a good chance to give our viewers an up-close look at this entire 28-car field. On the pole for the second year in a row is Zanardi. Remember, Bobby, he was leading when knocked out in the 19th lap last year.
And right alongside him, Bobby Rahal, the guy the rumors say is going to retire this year. And if he is, he's going to retire one fast guy.
Jimmy Vasser, the defending series champion. Michael Andretti, the defending champion here in Vancouver. On to row 3, and here's a driver that you like and like very much.
Mauricio Gugelmin. That's a good team. That's a Pac West team. They're going to be fast. Has a good chance of winning today.
Let's move to row 4. We see Brian Hurd. I talked to DeFerrin last night. He had a stiff neck after the accident Friday.
And look at the size of his neck. That tells you how strong he is. Tells you how hard the car's hit.
Blundell won for Pac West in Toronto. There's Greg Moore.
Greg has a good chance of winning today. The racetrack's going to get slippery. He's got a very smooth style.
Frank Keaty had the pole, by the way, in Toronto as we move to row number 6 here this afternoon. You like Pruitt with one victory this year.
Can you believe it? These two guys are teammates. Pruitt's going to be really quick. Raul Boisel sometimes is, sometimes isn't.
Christian Fittipaldi, you saw that race, the bad accident in Australia.
Broken leg coming away from, but he's going to be fast today.
He'll be fast. Ribeiro was surprisingly good in practice. I was surprised by Jourdain and Fernandez, who won in Toronto last year.
Fernandez is driving a Lola. He's going to have problems today.
Now, speaking of problems, how about Roger Penske's team? Let's talk about Tracy.
Not doing too well. He and little Al are both way back in the field. The cars are not working well, especially here where it's bumpy.
Roberto Moreno will drive today in place of a fellow you like, the young Canadian Patrick Carpentier.
Yes, and Moreno's been kind of like everybody's hit driver this year, fair, you know.
How about Al Unser Jr.? You talk about Tracy having trouble.
I talked to him last night, and he's really dejected about being back so far, but the bumps are just not making the cars work good on the Penske's.
Great name in row 11 in Unser. There's another great name, Juan Fangio.
That's with the Toyota engines, lacking in development and horsepower. That's the only thing they're lacking.
And another great racing name, P.J. Jones, Parnelli Jones.
That's a teammate to the other Toyota car, and same problem, no engine.
Yep, Juan Fangio's teammate. We look at Dennis Vitolo and Galter Salas, who hasn't run here this week, but will start today. One more lap to go as the cars complete the second of two warm-up laps, now the pace lap. And remember, the pole sitter must cross the start-finish line first. If for some reason, we're on board now with Michael Andretti, if for some reason, Bobby Unser, they are not lined up properly, they will go again once around before getting the green flag, but if they do another lap after this one, it will count in the 100 lap total of this race.
They'll start on the 200. I just want to bring up also, there's been a lot of classes of cars that have been running here. There's a lot of rubber, different types of rubber down there.
Looking back from Alex Zanardi's car, he is the pole sitter. There's Bobby Rahal, the second fastest qualifier, followed by Vassar and Michael Andretti. They're down now through Chrysler Corner at the end of Pacific Boulevard, that long straightaway. That's a great area to pass. And now Bobby up through those chicanes that you pointed out have been put in to slow these cars down.
What I started to say on the rubber is that you can see all the rubber on the track. That's a lot of different cars that are running here, different types of rubber. Now these tires are having a tendency, worse this race than normal, of picking up that rubber. And that's the reason you see the guys scrubbing the thing so hard all the time. When they get that rubber built-up on, often that's what causes them to spin out, not brake good, and etc.
Just about complete now, the pace lap. There have been 2 warm-up laps, the pace lap, and now 100 laps of racing. We'll be watching for the green flag. It should be coming out in just a matter of seconds, and the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver will be underway.
The lights are out on the pace car, Brian. That means that it's a go-ahead for cars. They're going to try to start it. Pace car's in.
There's Zanardi, the pole sitter, followed by Rahal, Vassar, Andretti, Gugelmin, and Brian Herden. Down across the start-finish line they come in Vancouver. And they are racing in Vancouver. The 1997 Molson Indy is underway. Through turn 1, Zanardi leading Rahal, Vassar, and Michael Andretti. Down Pacific Boulevard, Greg Moore has made a move up to 8th place. Going past Michael Andretti was Blundell. There's the leader, Zanardi, followed by Rahal. His teammate Vassar. Gugelmin has made a great move up into 3rd place, dropping Michael Andretti down.
Yes, and you know, we were just watching way back in the field there to see if they could all get stopped. Sometimes when you're back, it's like a vacuum cleaner. You get sucked along. It's called grafting. That's often why some of the guys hit them. Well, we did have one here that dropped out right there.
Yes.
But often that's the reason they touch a little bit.
Out of the race is Dennis Vitolo. Vitolo now restarted. He is not a factor here in this race this afternoon. Alex Zanardi, the leader, followed by Bobby Rahal. Vassar. Gugelmin has moved into 3rd place.
Now there's Paul Tracy. Has obviously had a shot. The right front tire, wheel, suspension gone. He's going through one of the chicanes. He's just going to try to make it back to the pits.
Paul Tracy obviously out of this race. Here's what happened. I believe the actual damage occurred prior to that, Bobby Unser. That wasn't hard enough to...
No, he was prior. That was just the right rear touch a little bit there, Brian. It was prior to that for sure.
So Paul Tracy, who started 17th, as it appears, through for the afternoon here in Vancouver. Tracy, who came into Toronto, Bobby, he was the talk of Indy Car racing, leading the point series, has a rough start here in Vancouver this afternoon.
He's totally out of the race. Now, that knocked the suspension clear off the car there. They could probably rebuild it, but it won't be any sense. As slow as that car's been, that's just the way it's going to be for them today. Now, I just wanted to also mention on Rahal, when we watched the start with he and Zanardi, I really think that Rahal wanted Zanardi to lead the race. Rahal is really smart. I think he's looking towards the latter part of the race rather than the first turn, first lap.
Well, the race is over for Paul Tracy. Jack Arute?
Indeed it is, Brian. In fact, Tracy has come out of the car. There is no way that that front end could be repaired. It is mangled on the right side. But as you take a look to the left side, it's quite obvious he got into something there as well. The crew is simply going to try and get the car back. And this is a big disappointment for the Canadian Tracy. Paul Tracy, who early in the year had won races, was in the hunt for the championship. This literally has taken it right out of his hands. Tough break for Penske. As we get a chance, we'll come back here and get a message from him.
And we're under a full course yellow here in Vancouver. Paul Tracy is out of this race. The leader is Alex Zanardi through 2 laps, followed by Bobby Rahal, Jimmy Vassar. Gugelmin has moved up to 4th. Andretti is 5th. Ryan Hurd is 6th. Running 7th is Gilles de Ferret. Greg Moore is 8th. Pruitt is 9th. And Mark Blundell is 10th. And there again is Dennis Vitolo. Vitolo, not a factor in this race, was the 2nd slowest qualifier. Actually, the slowest of the qualifiers, Bobby Unser, because Galter Salas did not run here all week.
I had to laugh just a little bit. Well, you said not a factor in the race, Brian. The reason is he's causing a bunch of yellow flag laps. Boy, it's going to be a big factor. All of the guys are going to love this because their mileage is kind of close here. So the guys that are still on the track are running under the yellow flag laps, which means they're really stockpiling fuel. Going to make their window a little wider.
Jackaroo.
Well, Brian, we finally caught up with Paul Tracy. Paul, what a disappointment. Tell us what happened.
Well, I made a bunch of positions on the start there, and I got up alongside Boiselle on the outside of him, going through that kink, and he moved over, and I basically had nowhere to go. We hit and put me up on two wheels, and I almost rubbed my helmet up against on the wall, so I was nearly over, upside down into the wall. So it's another bad start, 3 in a row. Hopefully, we'll run better at Laguna.
Talking about the bad starts, is there anything that can be done about them? Are you at all concerned or want to address the situation in any way?
Well, I mean, it's a tough situation to be in. I mean, you're back here and we're at the back of the grid, and it's you're right in all the trouble. So it's frustrating for us. It's very frustrating for the team to be back there. It's not where we want to be. Hopefully next year we'll be up further on the grid.
Bobby, you talked about at the start of the race, when you're in the back, you literally can be sucked into trouble. That's what happened to Tracy.
It happens every road race course, doesn't it, Jack? Every time we have these street courses where we have cement on both sides, it makes it rough.
Dennis Vitolo is making it rough. Actually, not too rough on the other drivers. They like this chance to get a break and conserve some fuel. Back live in Vancouver after this. The standings after 4 laps as the cars go through Chrysler Corner, and there is car 64, the car belonging to Dennis Vitolo from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. As that's lifted away from the track, we should be back racing and racing soon. Remember last year, Alex Zanardi can wrap up the points championship here this afternoon. There's the race leader Zanardi, followed by Bobby Rahal, his teammate Jimmy Vassar. It was here last year on the 19th lap. Remember that well, Bobby Unser, when he and P.J. Jones came into the final turn. Zanardi was upended and his day was over.
Well, like I mentioned just a bit ago, if you notice this track as you watch the cars going around slow, you can see how tight the course is, meaning that you got cement on both sides of it, or walls, and these guys have to be totally precise. Whereas if you have a normal road race circuit like Elkhart Lake, you've got grass that you can fudge a little bit. Sometimes you can drag a wheel that far. But here, they've got to be precise all the time, and you figure it's 100 laps like that being precise. Not counting the yellow ones we have, of course.
There you see the one finger from the official starter as Maurizio Gugelmin goes by, followed by Michael Andretti. They are running 4th and 5th, respectively. That means one more lap under full course yellow, and we'll be back racing here in Vancouver. Right now, let's go down to the pits and Derek Walker.
Or Derek Daly, whichever you want.
Derek Daly.
Brian, just a quick update on fuel. When the track goes yellow, these teams try and save fuel. They go to position number 7. Just to give you an idea in numbers, they save 36% of the normal fuel usage on a racing lap on the yellow when they run this slowly with the fuel position set to save 36%. So Mo Nunn, Alex Zanardi's engineer, just told me that this is great for a fight at the end of the race because we're saving precious fuel.
Derek Daly, thank you. We were talking about Derek Walker here in the booth, Bobby Unser and myself. He, of course, owns the car driven by Gilles de Ferran, and Gilles de Ferran right now driving for Derek Walker is running in 7th place. There's the race leader and the overall PPG points leader, Zanardi, followed by Rahal, Vassar, Gugelmin, and Reddy. Brian Herta running 6th here this afternoon. Greg Moore started 9th and running in 8th place currently. The lights are off on the pace car. This means they'll be racing as they come back by the start-finish area here in Vancouver this afternoon. They've completed 5 and are just about to complete 6 of 100 laps down. And this is where Zanardi had his accident last year. Zanardi followed by Bobby Rahal and Jimmy Vassar.
I'm a little surprised that Rahal didn't stay tucked up a little tighter to Vassar or to Zanardi on that restart, Brian.
There's problems. That is Michel Jourdain, car 19, Michel Jourdain. And down to Chrysler Corner comes the race leader Zanardi, Rahal, Vassar, Gugelmin, Andretti, and Brian Herta right behind Andretti. And there's Gilles de Ferran, followed by Greg Moore. On board now with Michael Andretti.
Well, look how much Michael's using the steering wheel there. The car's a little bit loose. Maybe when the tires are built up with that other rubber on there, that's what we're going to see a lot of, because he was overworking the steering wheel. Now Jourdain's back running again.
Jourdain is currently running in 26th place. Out of this race is Paul Tracy. Well, he tangled with Al Unser Jr.
Well, he came across. Little Al was on the inside. Jourdain was trying to get down to the apex, and little Al was already there. So they bumped tires a little bit. Didn't hurt either one of them, except probably cost each one of them a little bit of time there.
Alex Zanardi, the 30-year-old from Bologna, Italy, with 7 laps complete. On board now with Michael Andretti as he chases Maurizio Gugelmin, who's in 4th place, through Chrysler Corner.
Well, now that's a good shot, Brian. That shows you how fast they go from 180 to 90 miles an hour right down to 35, maybe 40 miles an hour.
Well, as you pointed out, Andretti is really working that steering wheel and working it hard here this afternoon.
And you can always tell if we watch our onboard cameras that the guys that really handle good don't work their steering wheel as much as the guys that handle bad. Well, the guys that are loose and not handling good, they work the heck out of it. And Michael's going to work his day out pretty good today. He's going to get a good workout.
Alex Zanardi, Bobby Rahal, Vassar now across the start-finish line on board with the race leader, Alex Zanardi. Bobby, take us down Pacific at 200 miles an hour.
All right, that's the number 1 turn, which is wide open. Now this is still a straightaway. Even though there's a corner here, wide open. Now watch on the left for the shutoff marker. Right there with number 1. We better be braking before that. Just barely missed both ends of those walls, close to the next wall, right around here to the left, accelerating hard. Now here's your first chicane. These are the touchy places. Hard to get through there. Only 1 car can do it. Now into the dark place under the tunnel. I'll pick the rest up pretty soon. There's the tunnel right there that I was talking about. The light change. Now watch when they come back out. Another chicane right there. So there's 2 of them real close together on the back side of the track.
Bobby, the change from dark to light, how tough is it this afternoon?
It's really tough because their eyes can't change that fast. They have to get kind of used to it. Jack?
Well, Bobby, you know, Derek Daly was talking about the fuel measuring devices, the metering device, how you can save like 30% plus during caution. So for Michael Andretti, he's already engaged in a little fuel conservation during green flag conditions. For the first 2 laps back under green, Michael stayed down in a fuel-saving mode. He just got the word from his team to go ahead to full fuel use. Now that could be portention of things to come at the end of the race, because as you know, you can change your fuel window by even a lap. It can leave you a little extra for the end.
Well, especially on a road race circuit. On a city street race, Jack, there's no way to coast in. If they run out of fuel, that's usually the end of it.
There's Maurizio Gugelmin running 4th, followed by the 5th place car of the defending champion, Michael Andretti. Andretti, with the American-made Swift chassis, won the first race of the year in Florida, but hasn't had much luck since then. Greg Moore, you had a brief glimpse. Greg Moore is currently 8th, Bobby Rahal 2nd, and there's Vassar running 3rd.
Now, Vassar is, of course, the teammate to Zanardi. You see, both the cars are the target cars. So Rahal's probably thinking, man, I'm in a sandwich right in these 2 guys on the same team. Watch them as they come through the hairpin at the end there, how close they have to come to the wall. Now, often what we see happen, which we don't like to see, is they'll clip that wall just a little bit with their front tires as they come around. Often when you see a tire coming off or a wheel bent out of shape, similar to the way Paul Tracy's was, that's what happened.
There's Bobby Rahal currently running 2nd, the 44-year-old from New Albany, Ohio. Rahal was 9th in Toronto this year. Last win was Nazareth, Pennsylvania, back in 1992. We'll take a commercial break. Rahal goes through, followed by Vassar, Gugelmin, Michael Andretti, and Brian Herdick. Greg Moore is still running in 8th place.
Service.
Back live in Vancouver on board with Bobby Rahal, who is running 2nd to Alex Zanardi down through Chrysler Corner. And now these little chicanes put in to slow the cars down, then into darkness as they go under BC Place Stadium.
Now we're on board with Bobby Rahal. This would be a good time to talk about this. We have 2 tire manufacturers here, Firestone and Goodyear. And right here we have Goodyear. Right there, Bobby Rahal's on Goodyear. Now the one behind him, Vassar, the one ahead of him, Zanardi, that's Firestone tires. And that's really been the big contest this year. The engines are pretty much, I think, equal right now, but not the tires. Let's go down to Jack.
And Bobby, you're absolutely right. And if you're shot with Goodyear tires, you've got to be concerned because Firestone throughout the course of the season seems to have the superior tire. Now, where is the superiority? Not only in compound, but also in construction. You were alluding to the fact that the tires tend to pick up the rubber from the other races. It seems to be more susceptible to the Goodyear tire. So what is the crew of Bobby Rahal, who runs in second? What have they done to Bobby? They've said, look, back off a bit, try to save the tires. Now, what do they mean there? Well, Bobby, you know, try to keep heat out of them, try to keep them from attracting that rubber and losing their grip.
Yeah, you're so right, Jack. And another thing I just want to top that with is they make, because of the two manufacturers being in competition with each other, the tires go like what we call soft. They keep the rubber as soft as they can, which tends to blister it and wear it out sooner. And that's what Jack was alluding to.
There is Greg Moore from Maple Ridge, British Columbia. Moore is currently chasing Gilles de Ferran. Moore is 8th. De Ferran is 7th, and Brian Herta 6th. There's Herta, De Ferran, Moore, and Moore followed by Scott Pruitt and Mark Blundell, the winner in Toronto. Through the start-finish area, now 14 laps complete, and it's still Alex Zanardi, the race leader. There's Herta. There's De Ferran. There's Greg Moore. They are running 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively.
I want you to kind of, another thing is kind of watch. You don't see it in the shot, but we will in some of the shots see the little balls of rubber laying to the outside of the track. Now, early in the race, we've got 86 laps to go. Not doing anything right now, but later on the race, you're going to see that stack of rubber out there get thicker, thicker, thicker. What this ultimately means is the guys have less of a chance to pass because they can't get offline. If they do, they lose traction, bounce right into the cement wall.
2 cars out of this race as Bobby Rahal. There's our buddy Hiro Mashusta. Mashusta well back in the race.
That's okay. That's that place where we said they could pass, Brian.
Mashusta running 26th. There's Rahal, followed by Vassar, who is 3rd. They both trail Vassar's teammate Alex Zanardi.
Rahal, whoa.
That's Zanardi. Zanardi has gone off the track, comes back on. Rahal's the leader, followed by Vassar, Gugelman, Andretti. Now Herta, De Ferran, Zanardi, it appears, is trying to get back on track. The engine is running, or is he stalled?
No, his engine is dead, I'm sure, and he's asking the guys to give him a push so he can get his engine running. It's really costly. This put in the chances of Zanardi winning the race. Here he's locking up his brakes. You can see going in, it won't turn. If you can't slow down and you can't turn when the brakes are locked up, the tires are not spinning, this is where he's going. Now, see, they're trying to start the engine right now. He's got it running, but remember, he's going to come out in last place. Now, that's going to be a big job for the fastest guy on the circuit today.
Well, he came from last to first in Cleveland. There's the race leader, Bobby Rahal, followed by Vassar, Gugelman, and Andretti's 4th. Greg Moore is now running 7th. The race leader, Bobby Rahal, and remember, Rahal was 2nd here behind Michael Andretti in 1996.
You don't see Zanardi make mistakes like that very often. You know, he had a pretty good lead on Rahal. It was obvious that Bobby wasn't going to push him, trying to pass him. So I question why he would push that hard right now.
Eric Daly.
For those of you who watched yesterday, we made a point of saying that this is a 2-hour hard battle, not physically, but of concentration. Zanardi said also it's tougher in the head than it is on the body. Yet, so and now he goes and proves how tough it is mentally because he made that critical mistake and throws away most of his good work. Now he's got to come from the back. Remember Cleveland, though? He was spectacular coming from the back, and he won.
This one's a little harder to pass on, though, than Cleveland is. Don't you think, Derek?
Bobby, absolutely. That is one of the problems. But also, he's thinking championship. Remember, $1 million he can still take away here, and he doesn't have to win the race to do it.
Well, he comes here right now with a 39-point lead over Gilles de Ferran, who is running 6th. Jack Arute.
Well, Brian, as soon as the crew and Bobby Rahal realized that they were leading, they began to discuss what type of pace they should run. They've decided they will continue to run the pace that they ran while they were running in 2nd. But the postscript to the conversation was very simple. The crew simply said, we can win this. Rahal said, I know.
Bobby Rahal hasn't won a race since Nazareth, Pennsylvania in 1992 on board with Rahal. Bobby Unser, and again, as Rahal, the race leader, comes by to complete the 18th of 100 laps. A mistake by Zanardi. You say a rare mistake for a driver of his caliber, but remember when he told us earlier in the week, he said, if you're out in front, that's the place you want to be. As we look at Zanardi try to come back through the field, well, he was out in front, he was all alone, but he made that mistake.
Well, he did, and I just don't think he should. He's really kicking himself right now. He's too good a driver when he had that much of a lead to make a mistake like that. But I'll tell you one thing about that Zanardi, Brian. He's really a racer. That guy wakes up in the morning wanting to go fast. Sometimes that's really good, but obviously today it has cost him a lot.
Well, you told me earlier in the week, you said he's such a racer. I think that boy's from New Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. Look, and he can't even see a car in front of him there. He's got an awful lot to pick up. Vassar, though, teammate right behind Rahal. Vassar won't give Rahal any cut today. He's going to push him hard all the way.
There's Greg Moore. Greg is now moved up into 7th place. Brian Herta, followed by Gilles de Perrin, who's 6th, and Greg Moore. Once again, Derek Daly.
Let me just give you another little bit of information about tires. Firestone may have an ace up their sleeve this weekend because they have come here with a similar construction or compound for primaries and option tires, except they made one in America, they made one in Japan. Vassar and Zanardi, whose pit we're now in, have chosen the Japanese tire. Very few other Firestone tires have, or runners have. So the Japanese tire may be the ace that Jimmy Vassar now may play against Bobby Rahal.
Derek, that could very well be. You could be right. But by the same token, I talked to some of the leading drivers yesterday. They said they couldn't see any difference or feel any difference, and there was no difference in the time. Maybe for the first time in history, the Japanese Americans made something to say.
And agreed on something.
Right. Look at all the marbles on the outside in that shot there. That's the little balls of rubber that I was describing. Every time these cars go by, that stack gets a little thicker, and we can watch that as the race goes on. This, incidentally, is pretty prominent all the way around the track.
Greg Moore has now completed 20 laps and is running in 7th place. We'll take a commercial break. You're watching live coverage of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. Live in Vancouver with Jack Arute, Derek Daly, and Bobby Unser. I'm Brian Williams. Bobby Rahal, the race leader. We've just had P.J. Jones in car 98. Looks like an engine blowing, and whoa.
Oh, boy, I was holding my breath on that one, Brian. I was going to interrupt you, but I couldn't even talk for a minute because I really thought that Vassar was going to run into the back of Rahal. Excuse me.
Jimmy Vassar running 2nd. There's Gugelman 3rd. Michael Andretti 4th. Jimmy Vassar coming so close to overtaking the race leader, Bobby Rahal. Not many places to pass here in Vancouver. One is just going into Chrysler Corner. Another place to pass is coming up here very shortly, where Zanardi was knocked out of the race last year.
Jimmy's not close enough to do it there, but boy, right there's the other place. Jimmy's nowhere near close enough to Rahal to pass there, but now watch. We're going through this first turn coming up now. Right in front of us, they're coming. In the turn to the left, down the long straightaway. Now let's see if Jimmy wants to take another shot at him here.
On board with Bobby Rahal. As Rahal comes down to the end of Pacific Boulevard, will Vassar try and go by? Not this time. Jack Arute.
Well, Brian, Jimmy Vassar knows that Bobby Rahal knows that this is a tough place to pass. He's got to throw the dummy wherever he can. But Rahal has been in constant conversation with his crew about those passing zones. And what he's trying to do, Bobby Unser, is cover the spot, especially there. And you know, as a driver, you can crack the throttle for just a split second and make the guy in 2nd break earlier or not be able to make that pass.
Speaking of passes, Jack, Alex Zanardi, who dropped down to last place, that would be 26th, with 2 cars out of the race with Tolo and Tracy, has now worked his way up to 20th position. There's the race leader, Bobby Rahal. All over him is Jimmy Vassar.
Now you can watch right there. Whenever they go through that left-hand corner real close like that, Jimmy's trying to get a run at him and get his draft. That's what he's doing. The suction going down. Look at there. There goes Jimmy. Now, he was going to try it there, but he didn't do it because he almost... Now, that could put him out of the race. So he doesn't want to hit anybody. When he makes his pass there, if he does, it's got to be a clean one. Vassar's too good a driver to make a mistake, I think.
Vassar is Zanardi's teammate and the 30-year-old from Bologna, Italy, with a critical forcing him to run off at the end of the straightaway, and he's now running back in 20th position.
That passing area going down into Chrysler Corner is so important. You can watch the driver behind, and right in front of us, you can tell when they're going to try it down there usually. And that's what we saw on Jimmy that last turn. Now let's see what he does now. They'll be coming right by us again, right?
There's Zanardi, car 4, working his way up through this field. Remember, he went from last to first to win in Cleveland this year. Into the pits is Brian Herta. Brian Herta has now dropped down to 11th place. Greg Moore is up to 6th. Herta was running 6th and is now a lap down in this race.
That's a little early to be coming in the pits, Brian.
We figured 2 pit stops. Yeah, 2 pit stops here this afternoon, Bobby, and you figured around when?
27 to 35, but the problem is that he had all those yellow laps, so he must have had a problem that caused that.
Boy, the top 3 cars are all over Hiro Mashusta as they back up. There is Mashusta, who's running 24th. By him goes the race leader, Bobby Rahal. Into the final turn, and Jimmy Vasser has taken the lead from Bobby Rahal in Vancouver. Jimmy Vasser across the start-finish line in first place.
That's that place where we said the second best place to pass. Now, Rahal didn't know he was going to be trying that pass there. He really thought it was going to be at the end of the long straightaway. That's what you call faking a guy. So then he turned right around and caught him when he thought he was sleeping there.
On board now with Rahal as he's running second. Here's a car the others had better worry about. Michael Andretti is running 4th and is all over Maurizio Gugelmin. Derek Daly.
Brian, it's a little bit early, as you assumed, for Bobby Rahal's teammate to come into the pits, but Brian Herta had a tire problem. The tires were starting to go away. They decided to come in and take on fresh rubber. Now for Bobby Rahal, that does not bode well. Obviously his tires are beginning to fade as well, but he's going to try and nurse it for 5 more laps.
Jackaroo, thank you, Bobby.
Yes, and what you find on a deal like that is there's a team deal, it's a team makes. They'll be telling Bobby Rahal by radio what the tires were like on the other car. Now, that wasn't a sacrifice, but by the same token, the information will be good to Rahal. It'll tell him how to drive and how to react for a lot of the race to come.
The top 4 cars are on board now with Michael Andretti looking ahead to Maurizio Gugelmin. Andretti, a 4-time winner here in Vancouver, and the defending champion right there is currently running in 4th place. This time, we're not going to Jackaroo, we're going to Derek Daly. Derek?
Indeed, I'm just standing beside Tom Anderson, Jimmy Vasser's team manager. He just got on the radio to Jimmy. He said, Jimmy, go as hard as you can and pull out a nice gap before the pit stop so that we don't lose that hard-earned position during a pit stop.
By the way, Unser Jr. started 22nd, is now running 15th. There's Rahal 2nd, Gugelmin 3rd, and running 4th is Michael, I should say, Andretti. So Jimmy Vasser is the race leader as we take a commercial break here in Vancouver this afternoon. Vasser followed by Rahal, Gugelmin, Andretti, DeFerrin, and Greg Moore now running a very strong 6th. Back live in Vancouver, you won't miss a thing. You see Gugelmin has gone into 2nd place ahead of Rahal, and Michael Andretti has just passed Bobby Rahal to go 3rd. Rahal is now 4th, following Vasser, Gugelmin, and Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti, the defending champion, is now running 3rd here in Vancouver. Gugelmin earlier overtook Rahal.
Now what you're going to find is that Rahal's tires are getting worn out. Goodyear's having some problems with them. Rahal is going to be coming in the pits pretty soon here. We'll have Jackaroo down there to see, or one of the 2 of them. I don't know which one of them there, Jack or Derek, but one of them needs to see how his tires are going to be.
Bobby Rahal passed by first Gugelmin, and then this car, Michael Andretti. There's Rahal just ahead of Gilles DeFerrin, and DeFerrin is just about to go by Rahal. I understand Rahal is coming into the pits, as you say, Bobby. There's DeFerrin all over Bobby Rahal, who was the race leader after Zanardi dropped down. By the way, Zanardi has worked back up to 17th place here this afternoon.
Rahal is into the pits right now. Let's go down to the pits.
And Bobby, as he comes in, it's fairly obvious that the fronts are totally gone. They're going to change to the harder compound tire. The primary tire goes on, the optional tires go off. That's the same situation that occurred Brian Herta. Let's go around and we'll try and show you these tires as they come off, and you can see when we say that they are gone. What's happened is all of the rubber has been attracted. We can take you to the fronts. Right here, you can see all the rubber that has been collected. That's a bad sign. You can see it all right here. They've gone to the harder compound primary tire, the same as his teammate Brian Herta. But you know, the great thing, Bobby, is at least now they know, having talked to Herta, that they seem to be a little bit better.
Well, Jack, this is going to be the story for Ray Hall for this entire race, because the tires, the harder ones, may help a little bit, but it may not be the cure that he needs, so we'll kind of follow that story.
You're looking at Maurizio Gugelmin. Gugelmin is running second. There's Greg Moore, who's now running fifth. Let's show you the pass earlier when Gugelmin took second place ahead of Bobby Rahal. Here it is, the final turn, so you don't miss a thing. That was while we were in commercial, and right as we came back, you saw live Michael Andretti go by Bobby Rahal.
Now what happened, you wonder, why was he able to pass Rahal there where he knew that that was probably where the pass would be? That's what happens when the tires wear out. They don't get good adhesion, not only going around the corners, but they don't break as good, Brian.
Michael Andretti running third, followed by Gilles DeFerrin and Greg Moore. There's Andretti as he comes into the pits. DeFerrin and Moore stay on the track, so into the pits is Michael Andretti driving for Carl Haas and Paul Newman.
These are also Goodyear tires. You just saw when Michael stopped there. Remember, if Goodyear's having a tire problem, let's go down to Jack.
Michael Andretti also is going to the primary tire. He qualified on the optionals. He too has a lot of buildup on the front tires, so it's quite evident to me that the softer compound optionals are not performing as hoped during the course of this race for the Goodyear drivers.
Michael Andretti, Jack, is back on the course and is now dropped. There's Alex Zanardi, who's worked his way up to 13th position. Michael Andretti has now dropped down to 9th. Derek Daly.
Fellas, things might be going from bad to worse for Alex Zanardi. The red alarm has just come on his data acquisition graph here in the pits that says he has a puncture in the left rear. The red alarm says 14.1 pounds pressure, and Bobby Unser, you know when it goes below 20, you're in trouble.
Oh, boy, you're so right. Now, I kind of hope this is not his bad day all the way around, Derek, because he's really passing the slower cars, and they're not really slow cars. He's passing everybody he gets.
Derek was talking, you saw him pass Parker Johnstone, and now Zanardi has moved up into 12th place.
That's quite an accomplishment right there. I mean, that's passing a lot of cars. The racetrack is pretty slippery, but remember, the Firestone tires do seem to be the best so far, and unless we find that the Goodyear backup tires are going to be better. There's Zanardi going right by there. He's just dancing around everybody. He's not easing up. Just in case you guys in the pits can't tell it, Zanardi is not slowing down. There's Ray Hall in the pits, and he's crawling out, Brian.
Bobby Rahal, who was leading and finished second last year, is through for the afternoon here in Vancouver. Gilles DeFerrin has moved into third. There's Greg Moore. Greg Moore is running fourth. There's DeFerrin there, followed by Moore. The leader is Vassar. Gugelmin second. DeFerrin in the Velveteen car third. And Greg Moore from Maple Ridge, British Columbia, driving a strong, steady race here for a young driver this afternoon, has moved up into fourth place.
You know, as we predicted earlier, this race is going to be a long race, and it's going to be the guys that are smooth and have the least amount of problems are going to do the best here. We've seen a lot of problems so far early in the race. The track will get slipperier even as the afternoon goes on, right?
Jimmy Vassar, Peter Dunn tells me here in the booth, is due to come into the pits on the next lap as we look at Greg Moore pursue Gilles DeFerrin. And into the pits comes Moreno. And into the pits as well is Jimmy Vassar, the race leader. Gugelmin has gone by to take the lead. Moore will move into second place. Scott Pruitt will be third. Pruitt we haven't talked much about. Back out comes Jimmy Vassar. And there's Gugelmin, the new race leader, Maurizio Gugelmin, driving for Bruce McCaw. And Pac West has taken the lead, but Bobby Unser, he is due to come into the pits.
But remember, they're all just one tight group just a little bit ago, so the racing is just getting better here.
Gugelmin, the race leader, as expected, is into the pits. Also into the pits is Alex Zanardi. Zanardi had worked his way up to 10th place. There's that back left tire, Derek Daly.
The back left tire, they warned Zanardi that the alarm had come on. They said, watch it, because he said the handling was still okay. So, in fact, they believe it was not a puncture, just a faulty readout. Jack?
Well, Derek, we've got Bobby Rahal here. It looks like a radiator let go or something. There's an awful lot of liquid back there.
No, the engine broke. Engine broke. We were having real problems keeping the rear tires right at the end there when everybody was getting me. I couldn't break into the corners very deep. And, you know, it's too bad. The car felt pretty good when the tires were there, but, you know, we just wore them out, and then, of course, this engine just broke all of a sudden.
Bobby, with the tire wear, with the Goodyears, the way it seems to be going both for you, Michael Andretti, your teammate Brian Erdman, should other Goodyear drivers be concerned about tire wear if they started on the options?
Well, we had switched to the hard compound for this next stint, and, you know, I think that might have been better, but you just can't give up, you know, 8 or 10 grid positions. You know, we babied them as long as we could, and they were holding on pretty good, and then they just started to go away rapidly.
A tough break for Bobby Rahal.
The race leader is Maurizio Gugelmin. Greg Moore is now running second. There's the leader, Gugelmin, about to complete 38 of 100 laps here this afternoon. Greg Moore is second. Scott Pruitt is third. Moore now has dropped down to third, and Gugelmin drops down as Vassar comes out of the pits into the lead. So again, Jimmy Vassar has taken the lead. Gugelmin is running second. Andretti has now moved up to third. Moore now coming out of the pits late. Moore drops down to fifth. DeFerrin is fourth. It is ever-changing. Let me give you, as you look at the race leader, there's Jimmy Vassar pursuing Al Unser Jr., who is a lap down in 17th place. Here's the top 5. Jimmy Vassar, followed by Maurizio Gugelmin. Michael Andretti's third. Gilles DeFerrin is fourth. And Greg Moore is running in 5th place. Pruitt has dropped down to 6th.
You know, Brian, I started to say a bit ago that these engines produce closer to 900 horsepower than they do 800. And they're really hard on the tires. It's a little hard sometimes to tell on the television set how much wheel spin all these tires are going through because they're black. Look at Vassar trying to get by Little Al. Little Al, of course, doesn't want to get lapped there. He's going to try to hold him back without being illegal or blocking him as much as he can, because he could have a yellow now. He could really come all the way around.
Jimmy Vassar, the defending overall series champion, is the leader, followed by Maurizio Gugelmin, Michael Andretti, Gilles DeFerrin, Greg Moore running 5th. Scott Pruitt is running 6th. Zanardi now running in 13th place. Live in Vancouver, you're looking at the Hollywood car driven by Maurizio Gugelmin, currently second to the race leader Jimmy Vassar. He trails by 4 seconds. Gugelmin has a 4-second lead over the third-place car, Michael Andretti. DeFerrin is a second back in 4th place. Greg Moore, 3 seconds behind DeFerrin in 5th place here this afternoon. Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti's the defending champion in Vancouver. He's won here 4 times, and right now he's running in 3rd place.
And another Goodyear tire. We have to kind of watch the tires, because it's going to become a race largely based on the tires that they're running. Until we find out that the new Goodyears are lasting longer. Look at all the rubber on the outside. Remember, I told you, every lap it gets worse, and we can see that as it happens. Look at this now. Now, if anybody gets out into that rubber, they can't turn and they can't stop. It's really a desperate thing. It makes passing harder again.
The Valvoline car is Gilles DeFerrin. He's running 4th, and running 5th, 2 cars back, is Greg Moore, trailing one of the back markers. There's Michael Andretti, driving for Paul Newman and Carl Haas. Andretti is 3rd. The race leader is Jimmy Vassar. There's Al Unser Jr., and there's Jimmy Vassar following Al Jr., and Al is already a lap down, running in 15th place. Only 7 cars on the same lap. Jack Arute.
Well, to answer Bobby Unser's question as to whether the Goodyear primary tires are any better than the option tires, Michael Andretti's crew feels that they are. The car seems to be running better. Michael seems much happier with the handling. Maybe when we go on board the next time, we'll be able to tell. See if his hands are shuffling back and forth as much as they were in the beginning of the race.
Well, Jack, after we watch the next pit stop, or after you guys watch it, we'll have an idea what the end might look like, because we'll see what they do with the tires. We'll watch out Michael working his steering wheel. He's one busy driver today.
Don't worry, Bobby. I'm not leaving Michael Andretti's pit until he takes those tires off.
On board with Michael, Bobby, Jack said we get an idea as to whether the car was handling better or not. What do you think?
Well, he's still working hard. He's just going faster doing it. But he looks to me like right now when he goes around this turn to the left and heading into this first chicane, he's not working it near as much as he did early on.
If you're just joining us, Alex Zanardi was the pole sitter and race leader early on. A mental error. He was leading and drove off into the runoff area by Chrysler Corner. He went back to last place, 26th, and has worked his way up to 12th, where he is currently running now. Derek Daly.
Brian, let me tell you how close a gamble some of these teams play. Jimmy Vasser, our leader, is using more fuel at this particular moment than they would like him to use. He is a lap short of being able to finish this race at the rate he is running. So they're gambling they're going to get another yellow, or else they'll have to force Jimmy to slow down as this race progresses.
And Derek, we know that gambling sometimes is good, but very often it doesn't work. So that's a bad position to be in, to say that there has to be another yellow in order to make it, or slow way down. The competition, incidentally, will figure it out. If Derek knows about it, we'll all know, because we tell everybody.
We should explain for those people watching across the country and in the northern United States that don't follow racing closely. Every car is given the same fuel allotment at the beginning of the race. Now, that is based on the calculated distance of the race, and also based on the fact that they believe every car should get 1.85 miles to a U.S. gallon. So at the beginning of this race, each team, each car, if you've got two cars and you get two tanks, of course, was given 94.9 U.S. gallons based on a calculated distance of just over 175 miles. It's up to them how they use it, Bob.
Well, excuse me, it is, Brian. And fuel often becomes such a big factor in the race and how it's going to turn out, because these guys have little dial boosters, we call them, in there. They can dial how much fuel. The more fuel they use, the more horsepower they develop. The more fuel they cut back, the better mileage they get. So they have to figure this out in the pit, work with their drivers, and tell them what to do on the radios.
Gugelman running second behind Jimmy Vasser. And once again, we go down to Jackaroo. Jack?
Well, Brian, in the old days, it used to be run the tank dry, and that was really the big concern. But in the last 2 years or so, the 1.85 mile per gallon formula and the 35-gallon fuel tank has not created a problem as far as running the pit tank dry. But fuel conservation takes on a more important role as we have Richie Hearn off as he gets right in the final corner before the front straightaway. I'll finish very quickly. The problem now is, as we watch the replay, the problem now is track position and coming into the pits. You don't want to make an extra stop. You've got to manage the 35 gallons appropriately.
Now there's Richie Hearn sitting there. Obviously, he's got all types of problems. The right rear tire's flat, the left front is bent. He's kind of bent a little bit up all over, but it wasn't anything serious. I didn't see it early enough to tell you exactly what happened.
The race leader, Jimmy Vasser, still pursuing Al Unser Jr., who is a lap down as they come through the start-finish area, about to complete 47 of 100 laps here this afternoon.
I think it's odd.
There's Gugelman, excuse me, Bobby, who's second behind Parker Johnston, so you see the gap. Now there goes Michael Andretti, Gilles de Ferran, and there is Greg Moore running in 5th place. So only 8 seconds separating the top 5 cars on board with Michael Andretti as he comes down and passes one of the back markers into Chrysler Corner.
Well, he had to pass a lot of the slower cars right there. It makes it very difficult. Now, that costs you time every time. Look how much closer Greg Moore got to him right there.
There's Andretti. He's running in 3rd place. Right behind him is de Ferran, who's 4th, and behind him is Greg Moore running 5th. The yellow flags are out in Vancouver. We'll return right after this. Back back in Vancouver under a full course yellow. You see the top 6, and we should tell you that Alex Zanardi has moved up into 10th place. Right now, let's go back down to the pits, and once again, here's Jack Arute. Jack?
Well, Richie Hearn was involved in that crash coming down to the front straightaway. Richie, what happened?
Jourdain hit me in the back. I think he must have just missed his braking marker or something, because he hit me pretty hard, and it's just one of those things that was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Richie, we've been talking about Goodyear versus Firestone and the problems that the Goodyear drivers have been having with the tires. Did you experience any of those problems?
Well, it's hard for me to say. I got much more problems than besides the tires. So, I mean, as the year's been going on, I'd say, Goodyear's been maybe a tiny bit behind some races. And, but like I said, I have other problems to deal with, so I don't really measure it out that way.
This has not been a good year, Bobby Unser, for Richie Hearn, but don't count this kid out in 1998. Let's update you as well on the situation with Michael Andretti. Andretti radioed in, and what they're trying to figure out right now, as we were alluding to, as when to come in and manage your fuel stops. But the new thing that's involved here is they're concerned about the tires. Remember, they're on the Goodyears. They've got one set of tires that they want to save for the end of the race. They don't want to put them on until they absolutely have to.
Good, Jack. And I also want to mention, that's nice of Richie Hearn to sit there and not blame the tire companies for faults or failures they're having with the race car. I was proud of him for that, Jack.
And there's why we have a full course yellow here in Vancouver this afternoon. We're just about halfway through this 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver with a full course yellow. We'll take another break and return live in just a minute. They remove Richie Hearn's car here in Vancouver this afternoon with Bobby Unser, Jack Arute, and Derek Daly. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to live coverage of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. We're halfway through this race under a full course yellow. Jack Arute, if you can hear me in the pits, we saw the leaderboard, Michael Andretti. Anytime he's near the top, he's a major story on this particular circuit. Any update on Andretti?
Well, one thing about Michael Andretti, this set of tires, now remember, he went from the optional to the primary, as most of the Goodyear drivers have during that first stop. He now says the car is a little bit better, but it's still very loose. So the conversation during this full course yellow between he and his crew chief has been, when should we make the change for that last set of good tires? They're also trying to decide what they should do in terms of the handling characteristics. Now, what they've decided is they're going to make a slight wing adjustment and save those tires till the very, very end, Derek Daly. And that's what these Goodyear guys have got to do, because right now it's not just options and primaries with Goodyear, it's Goodyear versus Firestone. And the way things stand now, Derek, Firestone is in the lead.
Exactly, and that leads us to the race within the race, i.e. Alex Zanardi. We saw what happened earlier on. He is now currently in 10th place. His fastest lap so far is in the 55-second range, a full half a second quicker than the whole field. But to win the championship and win $1 million, he has to pass Gilles de Ferran, who's a long way up the road. However, this yellow has helped Zanardi.
It's really helped him indeed. De Ferran is running fourth behind Jimmy Vasser, Gugelmin, and Andretti. Jack Arute, if they can open your mic and you can hear us, the first pit stops were scheduled between laps 28 and 35. We've completed 51 laps. They still expecting the second stops around lap 64?
No, because of these extended caution periods, you should be able to boost that up. Remember, Derek Daly told you about during caution, you get to burn less fuel. So you still have a few gallons left in that 35-gallon tank. My estimation, Bobby Unser, you should be able to go to about 6-0. What do you think?
Yes, and no question about that, Jack. And they'll go as long as they can because of the tire deal. They'll get fresh tires when they come in for the fuel, and they need the fresh tires for the end of the race. Very important.
We've had the signal. The lights are out on the pace car. They'll be racing again in Vancouver as they complete 52 of 100 laps. The race leader is Jimmy Vasser. There's Gugelmin second, and Andretti, who is third. A couple of back markers standing between Jimmy Vasser and Maurizio Gugelmin. The race leader Vasser, there's Gugelmin second, followed by Andretti. Parker Johnstone is in between. Back racing in Vancouver.
I just started to say Parker Johnstone is going to help Vasser because he's going to hold the other guys back for a little bit, so Jimmy gets a little further ahead. Obviously, if we watched Jimmy Vasser while he was trying to pass Little Al, He's got his power back or his fuel down. There comes
Gugelmin by Johnstone, and also, and it's close by Johnstone, is Michael Andretti. So Vassar, Gugelmin, and Andretti get by Johnstone. DeFerrin and Moore do not.
Historically, Johnstone has been a hard one to pass during the lapping. A lot of the drivers have complained about him, but that time both Gugelmin and Mario, or Michael both, Mario. Geez, I used to run against Mario all the time.
All right, I said
Michael
Mario
both got
I think I said Mario earlier here this afternoon.
If it's an Andretti, what difference does it make?
There you see Alex Zanardi, who's worked his way up to 10th place. Is that Scott Pruitt?
That's Scott Pruitt into the tires, into the wall right there. So he's definitely going to be out of the race. He's got a left rear tire that's already flat. He's got some damage on the right side that we can't see right now.
Whoa! That's Brian Herta. And through. Boy, we've got all kinds of trouble. Al Unser Jr. with Max Pappas. Pappas tried to get through, spun in front of Al Unser Jr. Now there's Greg Moore. We saw Moore, who's running 5th. There's your race leader. Look how close it is. Vassar, Gugelmin, and Michael Andretti, the top 3.
Now remember, the track is just about blocked out. All right, they just went to 4-course yellow because the track was getting totally blocked.
2 incidents. This one, as Greg Moore goes by, was Scott Pruitt. And what had happened, this is a costly wreck for Pruitt, who won earlier this year in Australia, Bobby Unser, because Scott Pruitt, at the time of the accident, there's Al Unser Jr. and Pappas limping across the start-finish line. But Scott Pruitt was running in 6th place. There's the top 3 cars under full course yellow. Now the top 5 as Johnstone came in. Let's have a look at what happened to Pruitt. It looked like...
But they were all kind of caught out wide right there, Brian. I don't know why they went out wide at the very beginning.
Here's the other one. This is Brian Herta. There goes Franchitti through, and then Al Unser Jr. having trouble. Now here it is at the top. This is Pruitt, and it looks like Parker Johnstone right underneath him. And look how close Zanardi comes to getting involved in that wreck.
Zanardi was out way too wide there. I don't know why he was so wide, but he was way out wide going in. We almost had another super wreck down there, I guess you could call it.
So Scott Pruitt is out of this race. It appeared he collided with this car, the Cool car, driven by Parker Johnstone, who is running in 15th place. We're under a full course yellow here in Vancouver. It's still Jimmy Vassar, Maurizio Gugelmin, Michael Andretti, Gilles DeFerrin, and Greg Moore is running 5th. We'll show you that Pruitt accident when we return. Back live in Vancouver, tremendous story. Alex Zanardi has moved up to 6th place, but we have some unbelievable footage taken from the helicopter. It's Adrian Fernandez. Watch this. There's Pruitt over the top of Fernandez. Miraculously, Fernandez appears to have been uninjured.
That's a good way to lose your head. Boy, what a close. That was a bad accident. It's very rare that you see one like that.
There's Fernandez's car in the pits, Derek Daly.
And have a look at this here, fellas. The complete hat-trick team watching the monitor here, watching that horrific replay. And the lady watching is Judy Pruitt, Scott's wife. Jack Arute.
Derek Daly, we say it's a miracle that you came in unscathed there. But Adrian, when we looked at your car, there was no rear wing, no rear fin. How close was it?
Well, I feel sorry for Scott because my car was really not working well all day, and I was just trying to stay away from everybody. And coming into that corner, I opened myself to let Scott go in the inside, and then the next thing I felt, it was a hit from behind, and I felt he went over me, and you know, I did everything possible, but that's the problem when you run in this type of track. There is just not enough room, and even though you have a problem, there is not a place to stay away from it. I did the best I could, and I feel sorry for Scott, but you know, I did my best.
You know, Bobby Unser, as you know, that's one of the downsides of running on temporary road courses.
It is, Jack, and also Adrian. You can see how concerned he was in case he made a mistake, but I think that was an unavoidable deal.
Well, that accident occurred right about where the pace car is now. We've received the signal they'll be back to racing when they complete this lap. Let's have one more look. Spectacular footage. That's Fernandez. Underneath, over top, goes Pruitt, who was running 6th. Fernandez escaping unscathed.
Very lucky race driver that boy is.
Alex Zanardi going by, who's a major story. If you're just joining us, the pole sitter, the IndyCar leader. What a story here today, Bobby Unser, as we look at the top 3, Vassar, Gugelmin, and Reddy, followed by DeFerrin and Greg Moore, who's running 5th. But what a story. Alex Zanardi, he leads the race, makes a mistake down at Chrysler Corner, goes off, is 26th, and has now worked his way back up to 6th place. And as Jack Arute pointed out earlier, I believe Derek Daly as well, we've all said it. Don't forget, he went from last to first to win in Cleveland. As they come across the start-finish line to complete 57, the green flag is up. 57 of 100 laps complete, and they're back racing here in Vancouver this afternoon.
The race has been good from the start. Things happening that we hardly ever see. Accidents that are strange. Look at Greg Moore come in. Boy, that was a close one right there with Greg.
Jack Arute.
Well, Brian, I think the fact that none of the leaders pitted during that full course yellow just shows you how important track position is and how important for the Goodyear drivers conserving your tires are. Rather than give up track position, even though you might have the lure of taking on new tires, nobody of the front runners decided to take advantage of full course yellow. That means they'll have to pit under green flag conditions, Derek Daly.
Jack, that was a great point. They have to go to at least lap 68 to take a full load of fuel on to have enough fuel to go the full distance. They don't want to have to be forced to make 2 more stops. So lap 68 is now the magic number.
You were looking at Greg Moore, followed by Zanardi, and Blundell is trying to go by Zanardi and cannot. Blundell is running in 7th place, the winner in Toronto, down on the Pacific Boulevard.
Now that's the first time anybody has attacked Zanardi all day. He's been decidedly faster than anybody. Remember, last place, clear up to 6th right now, and he's done it all honest without a lot of help from anything except going faster.
On board with Zanardi, running 6th as he pursues Maple Ridge's Greg Moore. Here's where the Pruitt accident took place. Now under the BC Place Stadium. This should be one tremendous finish here this afternoon. We have the top 10 cars, maybe that top 11 cars, running within 10 seconds of each other.
Zanardi chasing Moore right there. Chasing him hard. That's a position right there. Alex Zanardi's right on his bumper, Brian.
Bobby, take us down Pacific with Zanardi as he'll try. I'm not sure he's ready. He'd like to pass. No, he won't be able to as Moore pulls away here.
Well, I was going to take you through that first turn and tell you he has to get a run at him there in order to pass him right down here. It all starts happening right in front of us. But he did do it. Now that, I didn't think that would happen. Moore was in there too light, not fast enough. He should have known, especially with Zanardi, that he's going to come in there really hot. Zanardi did not look like he was even going to attempt to pass that lap.
The 30-year-old from Bologna, Italy, has passed Greg Moore and is running 5th. Moore is 6th. Jack Arute.
Well, Brian, I think the question has just been answered about Alex Zanardi and the $1 million points championship chase. All Alex had to do was stay in that 6th position, and he would have earned enough points to win and clinch the championship and the $1 million. What did he elect to do? Go for 5th spot. That's a racer, Bobby Unser.
Oh, he is a racer, Jack. He's been like this. I wonder if he's going to be able to finish out the worst part of this race. There we are right there with Zanardi.
Zanardi leading Greg Moore. And let's show you from the helicopter the Zanardi pass of Greg Moore. Bobby?
There he is on the inside. Remember, this is a very hard braking, the last minute braking. He got underneath Moore. Moore could not turn in. And, of course, there's nothing he can do with Zanardi there. Once Zanardi did the pass, Moore is essentially blocked.
That was at Chrysler Corner, the best place to pass on this course. It's a tight course with not much opportunity for passing. It's still Jimmy Vassar leading Gugelmin. Michael Andretti continues 3rd. DeFerrin is 4th. Zanardi 5th. And Greg Moore is running 6th. Christian Fittipaldi 7th.
That pass we saw with Zanardi going by Moore is just typical of an entire 1997 for Alex Zanardi. He is the hot one.
Alex Zanardi here, now setting his sights on Gilles DeFerrin. We'll take a commercial break. You're watching live coverage of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver on CBC.
The Faces who PM.
Back live in Vancouver with Jackaroo Derek Daly and three-time Indy 500 champion Bobby Unser. I'm Brian Williams. Greg Moore is in trouble as we come back. Greg Moore hit the wall, was running in 6th place. Now remember, Paul Tracy went out of this race very, very early. And Moore appears to be, that's serious damage.
Yeah, it's a left front suspension. It's definitely out. It's going to put him out of the race. There's no question about that. That's really a shame. Having a pretty good race.
Right now, let's go down to Derek Daly.
I am here, and there's a lot of somber faces because they have watched the TV screen, the same pictures you boys have seen. Greg Moore comes in slowly. Left front is, to me, it looks destroyed. I don't think there's any with the top wishbone. No, it's torn out of the monocoque. It's over. Greg Moore's day is over. I'll hang out here to see what his reaction is, but it is impossible to repair the damage that I see on Greg Moore's car at the moment.
Derek Daly, if you hang on with us, we look at DeFerrin now, followed by Zanardi. Zanardi's moved up to 5th place and pursues the 4th place car of Gilles DeFerrin down Pacific. Let's just wait and see if he passes. I want to ask you about Paul Tracy because, yes, Zanardi.
That's right here.
Oh, my! Zanardi has gone by Gilles DeFerrin into 4th place. What a story.
Now, it's a question. Was that yellow right there? Did he pass him illegally? I saw an emergency truck sitting there, Brian. We'll have to see what CART says about this, but that was a fabulous pass right there.
Derek Daly, the damage to Greg Moore's car appears to me similar to the damage to Paul Tracy's. Remember when Tracy went out on the first lap?
Well, whatever Tracy had, I know Greg Moore has terminal damage. Disappointment on Greg's face. He's just taken his helmet off. We're going to just try and get up close to him. He's talking to his engineer, Steve Chalice, at the moment. But Greg Moore just disappointed. Such a huge following here. And yet it all comes to nothing. As soon as he finishes debriefing or talking to his engineer, Brian, take it back.
Here's the pass. Zanardi going by Gilles DeFerrin to move into 4th place. What a tremendous story here, turned in by the native of Bologna, Italy this afternoon, Gilles DeFerrin. Alex Zanardi.
Zanardi passed that DeFerrin so easy. I'll bet DeFerrin had to look down and see if he was really moving. I mean, that's absolutely a position, 4th place in the race.
There's Zanardi. He's 4th. One car between himself and the 3rd place car there of Michael Andretti. So Zanardi continues to be an amazing story here this afternoon. That's Andre Ribeiro who's between them. Ribeiro is a lap down, running in 13th place. Once again, down to Derek Daly with Greg Moore.
Greg's disappointment for so many people. What happened?
I went into the chicane there and I just touched the wall a tiny little bit with my left front, bent the suspension arm, and that's our day.
Greg, you made a change in the front wings on the very first pit stop. Was the car good enough for you to run at the front today?
I think that we were good enough to run in the top 3. I mean, I think that there's a couple of guys up front that are running real strong, but, you know, we were a top 3 car today. It's just too bad, you know, I feel bad for everyone on the players team, for all the Canadian fans here, you know. I wanted to do well for them, but, you know, we'll just go to Laguna and do well there.
There'll be many more days, fellas.
Boy, the day today belongs to Zanardi. Look at this. You saw during that interview, he passed Ribeiro, who was standing between himself and Andretti. There's the race leader, Vassar, followed by, there's Gugelmin, who's 2nd. There's Andretti. But Andretti and Vassar. Look at this, on board with Michael Andretti as he chases Gugelmin. But I'll tell you what, Zanardi is all over now on board with Zanardi as he chases Andretti.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the guy, Michael doesn't have to worry about who's ahead of him. You better look at that red car behind him because I have a hunch. Look at that. Zanardi can pull up on him like it's just nothing. He's outbraking everybody going into Chrysler turn. Must be by half a city block right there. Let's go down to Jack.
Bobby, you are absolutely right. Michael Andretti and his crew are not concerned about who's out front. They're concerned about a fast-closing Alex Zanardi. They've discussed it for the last lap or so, and they keep telling Michael not how far behind he is, but how far in front he is of Alex Zanardi.
You know, historically, Chip Ganassi can tell Zanardi to slow down, but I just don't believe he can make him slow down. This cat is on a roll this year. He's driven every lap, every inch so far today as hard as he could.
Down through the start-finish area, on board with Zanardi as he chases Andretti, who's third. And in front of Andretti is the second-place car of Maurizio Gugelmin. Zanardi, without question, the story in this race so far here this afternoon. Now on board with Michael Andretti, still running third as he chases Gugelmin. Zanardi did not get by. Now on board with Zanardi as he traces Andretti. Tremendous camera work here by our crew this afternoon.
Well, you can see from the onboard cameras how are they gain and where they lose, where one driver's good and the other driver's good.
We salute our directors, Jim Marshall and Chris Elias, as they cut back and forth and give you watching at home a unique perspective on this very exciting race here in Vancouver this afternoon. Here's Michael Andretti, and all over Andretti is Zanardi, who, remember, had to go back to 26th place. He should be able maybe to make a move this time down on Chrysler Corner.
Well, he's really close. Now he's going to get a good draft when he sits close, and he is. Watch him. He's moving up, going around the last little bit to the right. Now let's see if he... Oh, he did it again, Look at that. Now the switch right around that camera looks so neat. There Michael was totally blocked, just like Greg Moore was. Couldn't get back in. Zanardi passed another one the same way.
You are watching a truly tremendous driving effort turned in by the Bologna, Italy native Alex Zanardi here this afternoon. And now let's have a look at it from the helicopter as Zanardi passes Andretti to go into second place.
Now look at him whip over to the right. He got a good draft all the way. He's got to know or get enough bite on Michael where he can't pull back in. They could have really had a wreck there. Now Michael tries to come back, but hey, doesn't make any difference. He's already blocked. It's over.
Derek Daly.
We have cheers from all the mechanics as Zanardi goes by here. Monon, his engineer, just told me we passed the magic number lap, number 68. Any time now, they can make a pit stop and Zanardi can take a full load of fuel. And Jimmy Vasser, the leader, is coming in 3 more laps.
On board with Alex Zanardi, who's running third behind his teammate Vasser, and just in front of him, Maurizio Gugelmin. Zanardi, the pole sitter, ran into trouble early in this race and was dropped down to 26th place and has worked his way back up through this field. Earlier this season, when he won in Cleveland, he went from last to first on the shores of Lake Erie.
How'd you like to be Gugelmin right back now? And your crew's been telling you what's been happening. See that red car back there. There's Michael Andretti. See that red car back there, Zanardi, and say, my Lord, how's he doing this? There's Michael coming in for his last pit stop now.
Bobby, there may be something wrong with his car. He was going awfully slow prior to that final turn. Jack Carew.
Well, Brian, Michael radioed in that he crushed the wall or that he had a problem. So now he's come in 3 laps earlier than he had hoped for. This, though, could turn out to be a plus. But no, it won't, because he has killed the engine. There is definitely something terminal with Michael Andretti's Kmart Havoline Special. We'll talk to him in a minute.
These suspensions are so fragile that when they say they touch the wall, Jack, it usually meant something bent.
There's the race leader. That is Jimmy Vasser. There's Gugelmin second and third, Zanardi. It is so close here as they come up to complete 72 of 100 laps. 18 laps to go in Vancouver. Vasser, Gugelmin, and Zanardi down onto Pacific Boulevard.
Now, we could see it past this lap. Zanardi was getting a run on Gugelmin. He's right behind him. He's got a big draft. Let's see what happens right here. Brian, he did it again. How many times today has he done that? Uh-oh. Gugelmin got back by him. Now they finally figured out he got in a little too fast.
Gugelmin did what Michael Andretti attempted to do and was not successful. I said 18 laps, 28 laps to go.
But you know, he's already told Gugelmin, Zanardi has what he's going to do. Gugelmin is no dummy.
Out of the car is Michael Andretti with 28 laps to go. Chip Ganassi's car is now running 1-2. The race leader is Vasser, followed by, running 1-3 as Gugelmin has gone back into second place. Jack Carew.
You want to see how subtle things can be? This is the hit on the wall by Michael Andretti on his front tire. You can also see what it's done to the wheel. but here, more importantly, it flattened the tire and ruined the suspension. We'll talk to Michael in just a minute.
You know what happens there? Those wheels are magnesium, and they're strong as heck. But of course, when they hit something like cement going that fast, that's got to be a problem. The suspension obviously got bent also.
As we were going down to look at that tire, Zanardi went wide but escaped damage and is still running third. Vassar is due into the pits. As we look at Alex Zanardi running third, Vassar is due into the pits on the next lap. It's Vassar, Gugelmin, Zanardi, DeFerrin, and Boycel, the top five. Both Paul Tracy and Greg Moore are under this race as the race leader, Jimmy Vassar, is into the pits. By the start-finish line goes Gugelmin. He's the new race leader. And now running second is Zanardi. Back down to the pits, Derek Daly.
I am here. It's a routine stop for our leader, Jimmy Vassar. He takes a drink. There are no changes. He has not made a single change to the handling of this car all race long, which is good for Vassar. Just now listen for the engine revs. He'll go right on the limiter as he drops the clutch. Here he goes.
Tell you what, that Jimmy Vassar's going today to remember. He doesn't want his teammate to beat him. That teammate's Alex Zanardi. Jimmy Vassar's good race driver. He still wants to win this race. You got to watch the way he left the pits.
Jimmy Vassar is now running third, but remember, both the race leader Gugelmin and Vassar's teammate, there's Gugelmin, the race leader, and Vassar's teammate Zanardi, who's second, still have to pit, and into the pits comes the race leader Gugelmin. Alex Zanardi will take the lead in this race. Zanardi also into the pits comes Alex Zanardi. So both the first and second place cars are into the pits. We go down to Derek Daly.
Fellas, this is harem-scarum time. Zanardi pulls off a tear-off from his visor. Now remember, he's trying to beat Gugelmin. Gugelmin has already gone. Gugelmin has gone. Zanardi now follows out. Manchusta, Jackaroo. Derek Daly, this man, Michael Andretti, had hoped to be in that final pit stop, but that wheel in the wall just caught up with you.
Yeah, just driving too hard to try to keep up. My tires were going off really bad, and I was just driving too hard.
Michael, you were trying to nurse the car until you could get another set of tires. You thought that might make the difference?
No, because I would have been in the same boat at the end of the race as well. You know, we're just having problems just keeping the tires under us.
There's a tough break for Michael Andretti. Remember, guys, he won at Homestead in an American-made Swift, but since then, they've been skunked.
Race leader is Gugelmin. Look at this, all over.
And they've been skunked.
Race leader is Gugelmin. Look at this, all over Gugelmin. And locking the brakes is Vassar.
Now, Jimmy must get by him in a hurry because Zanardi is going to be back there, and he knows that. Both these guys know that. Now down this long straightaway, Brian, if he's going to do his pass, this is probably where he's going to try it. Let's see if Jimmy can break it like Zanardi does here. Can't do it. Didn't do it. Didn't even try it.
And now as Gugelmin and Vassar come up towards BC Place Stadium, they have trailed because of the pit stops. They now trail Gilles DeFerrin and Brian Herta, but DeFerrin and Herta have not been in for pit stops yet, so in effect, Gugelmin and Vassar are really leading this race. Back down to the pits.
I'm here with Chip Ganassi, who owns Zanardi's car and Vassar's. We've watched Zanardi get a little bit wild, Chip. Do you get on the radio and try and control him a little bit?
We're trying to tell him, you know, I guess everybody's eliminated from the championship except DeFerrin, so, you know, we just got to bring the thing home, and it makes the things a hell of a lot safer.
Jackaroo, down to you.
Well, Derek Daly, Gilles DeFerrin has completed his stop, and as Brian, as you alluded to, not only did he drop out of the lead, he dropped back into sequence, so that shuffles things around for the final stop for all these front runners.
Right now, it's Brian Herta leading, but he has to stop, followed by Gugelmin, DeFerrin, Vassar. Al Unser Jr. is running fifth. And remember, Al Jr.'s last victory was here in Vancouver in 1995. Alex Zanardi is running in 6th place.
There's Gugelmin going by. There's Vassar behind him. They both know that back there lies somewhere is the guy by the name of Zanardi. There goes Herta right there. Bobby Rahaal's partner, a Goodyear tired car, too.
Brian Herta, the race leader, followed by Gugelmin. There's Gugelmin.
You know, this kind of shows everybody. We watch all these pit stops and everything is all mixed up. New leaders, new people in there. That shows you how important the mechanics, how important the pit stops are. It kind of justifies why these guys spend so many hours practicing pit stops.
Gugelmin through Chrysler corner. Jimmy Vassar is now 3rd. Zanardi has moved up to 4th. Unser is 5th. And DeFerrin is running in 6th place. There is Gugelmin, who is running 2nd, some 6 seconds behind Brian Herta. Brian Herta has yet to make a pit stop. Maurizio Gugelmin from Brazil.
For all practical purposes, that would be our leader there. Not our real leader, but because Herta does have to make a pit stop, means Gugelmin really is in front. Vassar right there in the red car, the one that looks just like Zanardi's, is 2nd. 3rd right now, but it'll be 2nd as soon as Herta makes his pit stop.
Alex Zanardi.
There's the guy that's been the star of the day right there.
The pole sitter who made a mental error early in the race at the end of this straightaway where he is right now had to run off by Chrysler corner right about here. He was unable to make the right turn, ran off, went back, stalled the engine, got started, was running in 26th place, has now worked his way up to 4th place.
You could look at Chip Ganassi's face and see, do you really think he could slow his star guy down, Alex Zanardi? I just don't think so.
Bobby Rahaal's young teammate, Brian Herta, the race leader, but he is yet to pit and still does not come in as he comes across the start-finish line. When he crosses the line, 20 laps to go here in Vancouver this afternoon. There's Gugelmin, followed by Jimmy Vassar, and you see the distance back to the 4th place car of Alex Zanardi.
Herta, of course, is staying out as long as he can. A lot of weight. He's kind of hoping for a yellow flag where he could get a little bit or lose a little bit less during the stop that he's inevitably going to have to make.
Brian Herta, the race leader, born in Warren, Michigan, which is in the Detroit area. His best finish this year, 3rd in Cleveland. The Cleveland race, as we mentioned earlier, won by Alex Zanardi. This is Gugelmin. Gugelmin, for really all intents and purposes, really the race leader, although he's running 2nd to Herta because Herta has yet to pit.
By Marino there in the Alamax car. Into the straightaway where we sat and watched the race. There's Brian Herta.
Brian in his 2nd year with Bobby Rahal. Interesting, he previously drove with both Chip Ganassi and A.J. Foyt. Toronto fans might remember in 1994, he had a bad crash right by our booth in practice, Bobby, and there's how close Gugelmin is. There's Vassar, who's running 3rd. We'll wait, and there's Zanardi, who's running 4th. So you see, the lead is not much, and when he comes in for a pit stop, he will definitely fall down 4 or 5 positions. But as I was saying, he had a bad crash in practice in Toronto in 1994, breaking both a leg and his pelvis. But he's running well here this afternoon. Brian Herta is the race leader in Vancouver. Be interesting to see if he goes into the pits now as they're about to complete 82 of 100 laps. Jack Arun.
Well, Brian, look for Brian Herta to milk this as long as he can. He does not come into pit road this lap. And here's the reason why. Brian Herta and the Shell team have determined they are going to roll the dice. All they are going to do is what we call a splash and go. No anticipated tire change, a time stop for methanol, and they hope that they have enough of an advantage that even with the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit on pit road, they will not lose a lot of spots. This is a gutsy move for this youngster, part of Team Rahal.
That's Zanardi. Zanardi, the 2nd time today he's had trouble in Chrysler corner. Oh, my.
I don't know about this. I really don't know. Now, we have really seen some happenings today. You think he's not excited? He's begging to somebody. Come and help him. He's killed his engine. Look at Chip Ganassi. He's saying to himself, I told you so, I told you so, I begged you to slow down. You wouldn't do it. The championship's what's important.
Alex Zanardi was running 4th.
That guy's a racer. Man, he's got to be a racer this year.
That moves Al Unser Jr. up to 4th place. There's the race leader, the native of Warren, Michigan, 27-year-old Brian Herta.
But they's got it running again. I'm just telling you, this is something today.
Derek Daly.
Chip Ganassi. Chip, you almost forecasted this. This is what you were concerned about, and now it happens.
Well, you know, we're trying to race out there, and things happen, and I guess that's the kind of thing that happens.
Fellas, that does not show the frustration of Chip Ganassi.
That doesn't tell us what he's thinking either, does it, Derek? Oh, it's really something. That Zanardi has been the star of the show today. There's no question about that. He certainly has been a winner in our eyes, if nothing else here.
Brian Herta stays out. He's the race leader, pursued by Maurizio Gugelmin. Jimmy Vasser's 3rd. Al Unser Jr. is now 4th. Through the start-finish area goes the race leader, Brian Herta. You're watching live coverage of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver on CBC. We'll return here to Vancouver in just a minute. Back live in Vancouver, Jimmy Vasser has moved into 2nd place. You're on board with Vasser as he chases the race leader, Brian Herta, who is yet to pit. Let's show you that pass from the helicopter.
Now here, right behind there is Vasser. Look at him. Now that is an outside pass. Nobody has passed there all day. That's the very first one, and nobody expected it. Right by us.
On board with Vasser, who during that replay very nearly, and he hits the race leader, Brian Herta. Oh my!
Herta was innocent on that one. Man, it went in there. That's what I said. Remember I said you can't get 2 cars through the chicanes at the same time. He left Herta no place to go. He couldn't even brake and get stopped there.
So you blame that on the race leader now, Jimmy Vasser.
Yes,
No, he's fallen behind Gugelmin. Gugelmin is actually the leader, but Vasser knocks Herta out of this race.
But I really can't call it either one's fault. He went in there for a pass. Look at this. They go in there. Now he's up alongside. It's okay. The problem is it's one of those deals where it's a tie. 2 guys can't make it in there at the same time. It just can't happen. Look at this. Here they touch the tires right there. Vasser just barely makes it himself. But in the meantime, Herta goes right straight into the tires. Not fast, but it doesn't make any difference. It puts him out of the race. There's another shot as he comes in there. He's got a good pass made, but the timing was so bad. There's no way Herta could have got out of that deal no matter what happened.
So an unfortunate incident there. We're under a full course yellow. Let's have one more look at that. Chip Ganassi's car. Now, we called it Jimmy Vasser causing it. It may indeed have been Alex Zanardi. We'll see it one more time.
That is Zanardi.
No, that is
Zanardi. That is
not
Zanardi.
Vasser. That is Zanardi that caused it.
Those cars look so much the same. It's only a yellow on the roll bar that separates them, and I really thought that was my fault. I'll take the blame for that one, Brian.
Yeah, there's no blame at all.
They need to just differentiate a little bit on the colors so we can see the difference.
Brian Herta is running again here in Vancouver. We're under a full course yellow. But Gugelmin is the race leader, followed by Vasser. So that was Zanardi and not Vasser causing that accident. And the afternoon has been, to say the least, an adventure for Alex Zanardi.
Well, he certainly made our show, especially now that I know he was the one that was doing that pass, passing again where it was impossible to pass, like he's done all day long, really.
All right, Derek Daly, we go down to you again. That was Alex Zanardi causing the trouble, not Jimmy Vasser.
Yes, indeed. I'm here with our race leaders, team manager, Russ Cameron. Big Mo Gugelmin looks good. Do you have enough speed to hold off Vasser?
I think we do. I was a bit worried about Zanardi coming around like that, but now that he's kind of out of the picture, I think we can hold off Jimmy at this point. I mean, it's just going to be touch and go. We're full rich on the fuel, and tires look good, so
Now, that last pit stop was incredibly fast and gave you the lead. Is that a practiced idea?
Well, the guys work real hard on the pit stops, but I think Mo did a good job getting the car in and out, quick. And, it's hard to go out on cold tires and keep the speed up, but he did a good job of it.
Thanks, Steve. Down to you, Jack.
Derek, you can see the damage done to the front nose on Brian Herta's car as he pulls away. He literally punted into the tires and hit the end of the retaining barrier square. So what did it do? It dimpled the front end of the car. The rest of the car seems to be fine. He stayed out to take advantage of the pack-up under full course yellow. But I'll tell you right now, Team Rahal are not a bunch of happy campers down here.
But Jack, it shows how well the tires work, how many drivers that saved in cars. It's really been good.
I'll tell you what else, Bobby. It shows that the construction parameters for these cars in 1997 are excellent. You can remember when they first went to these types of chassis, that type of a shunt would have blunted the front end and would have gotten to a driver's feet.
For certain, it would have broken their feet, like so many drivers have had them done.
It's Gugelmin, followed by Vassar and DeFerrin. They're back racing in Vancouver, completing 89 of 100 laps. Zanardi, by the way, is in 9th place after that collision with Brian Herta, and it's easy to see the confusion because Vassar was chasing Herta at the time, and we assume that was Vassar. Hard to differentiate when you can't see the yellow roll bar. The best way to tell is Vassar has the yellow roll bar on his car. Back down to the pits, Derek.
I'm here with Tom Anderson, and Jimmy Vassar has a problem. Tom, you're the team manager. What's Vassar's problem?
Well, we've been fighting the gearbox all weekend over the bumps and the curves. We're pretty hard on third gear, and it's put a lot of wear on the dog rings, and so he's having to shift the box manually. The lift without shift now is not working because there's too much wear on the dog ring.
So the electronic aid that aids Jimmy Vassar in making lightningly quick gear changes is broken. Now we have to do it manually. It is a tiny bit slower.
And I just want to add to that a little bit, Derek. It manually means you got to use the clutch. Normally they don't use it. It's like a motorcycle sequential transmission, just shifts back and forth. They just pop it each time without using the clutch. Now he's got to use the clutch because the dog rings, which on the gears is what engages, are worn out.
And Joe DeFerrin running third, following Jimmy Vassar and the race leader, Maurizio Gugelmin, driving for Pac West, and there's Zanardi again.
Wow, what an exciting day for Zanardi.
That was Dario Franchitti, the pole sitter in Toronto, that he appeared to bump there. We saw Zanardi bump Herta and bump him hard, but Herta's back in the race. Brian Herta is running in 10th place. You saw Franchitti. Here's that touch.
As I watch all this, look at there. He can't slow down anymore. The rest of the guys really slowed down too much. Zanardi didn't get in there too fast. The rest of them just slowed down way too much. Look at that. That's all Alex can do is slow down when he slowed down. He's got a little bit too much right front brake on the thing, too. But, after this race is over, how would you like to be Zanardi when Chip Ganassi quits chewing on it? Not going to be any rear end left.
Race leader Gugelmin. There's Vassar. And running third is Gilles DeFerrin for Derek Walker. Unser Jr. there. Car 2 is running fourth, and that is Dario Franchitti going around Boisel.
Kind of left Boisel with no place to be on that one.
So Franchitti has moved up into 5th place. Boisel drops down to 6th. Franchitti in a fight for Rookie of the Year honors with Canadian Patrick Carpentier, who is not racing here, is back in Indianapolis this afternoon. Derek Daly.
Carpentier, I just want to mention quick, broken collarbone riding a bicycle. That's a story.
And now down to Derek Daly.
Boys, here's an interesting thing. The Patrick team right behind me have asked Cart to have Zanardi black flagged out of the race because he has hit so many people. They don't want him anywhere near Raoul Boisel, who was in that incident earlier, remember, with Paul Tracy, and was running a very good fourth. Whoa, black flag for the man.
Derek, I have to comment to that. Zanardi really hasn't done that much wrong. He's just been so much faster all day that everybody has been in his way. But that's a total typical Patrick. Pat Patrick, if you don't complain, Jim McGee, if you don't complain, you don't get anything. So naturally, they should ask for it. I should doubt that Cart would do it, though.
Zanardi's now running 5th as he chases Al Unser Jr. There's Al Jr., who's 4th, and there's Zanardi, who is 5th, and has been the story here this afternoon.
When you're a guy like Zanardi today, everybody is in your way. They just can't get out of his way fast enough. He's so much faster than everybody. Look at him swing out, little Al. He just can run on the road any place he wants to go and brake whenever he wants to brake.
Zanardi, now he's passed Franchitti in 5th place, following Al Jr., who's 4th. Gugelmin, Vassar, and DeFerrin are the top 3. 7 laps to go here in Vancouver this afternoon.
Look at there. It's just so easy for Zanardi to go in there. Now, little Al's not handling good. Right back. Zanardi got in there so fast he couldn't make the corner again. Look at this. Now the chicane.
Little Al tried to come back at him, but was not successful. So Zanardi's 4th. Little Al's 5th. And Franchitti is running 6th.
We've seen little Al just about as hot here in races past as we've seen Zanardi today. Today he certainly can't run with Alex Zanardi though.
Pac West Racing, owned by Bruce McCaw, trying to win for the 3rd time this year. Blundell won in Portland and in Toronto. Gugelmin, here's the race leader, driving for Pac West and Bruce McCaw out of Seattle. There's Vassar, who's 2nd, and Gilles DeFerrin driving for Derek Walker, who's running 3rd.
That Pac West team has really come together good, as well as Derek Walker's. Right there, the Valvoline car with Derek Walker's car. Those cars, those teams have really come up being kind of like secondary teams into really good major teams, major competitors all the time. DeFerrin, of course, is the guy that wrecked yesterday, has that giant neck that we were surprised he got his neck bent up a little bit yesterday, as strong as the guy is.
There's Gilles DeFerrin as he chases Jimmy Vassar. DeFerrin's running 3rd. Vassar is 2nd. Good look at Gilles DeFerrin from Brazil.
DeFerrin in the blue and white car.
Down into Chrysler Corner. 5 laps remaining here in Vancouver in what has been a tremendously entertaining, if not somewhat bizarre race here this afternoon, thanks to this man, Alex Zanardi. Car 4 is running in 4th place.
You can see how far Zanardi has pulled away from little Al after he passed him there. It shows how well he's handling.
Dennis here in the booth to figure out whether or not there's Franchitti. That's Dario Franchitti, who was running 6th at the time.
Again into one of the chicanes. You can watch his tracks. You can follow him right there on your television screen. See how he went straight in to the tires. The tires, of course, are just making miracles when you hit them. Let's go to Jackaroo now.
Well, Bobby, you know, when people talked about the Pac West team, Mauricio Gugelmin has been there longer than his teammate Mark Blundell, and many people thought Big Mo, some 40 pounds lighter going into this season, was going to be the first to win. That did not happen. You want to talk about strange things? What about Detroit, where he was leading only to run out of fuel? His teammate takes over the lead. They then run out of fuel. So this has always been, as they say, the best of times and the worst of times for Mauricio Gugelmin. Right now, with less than 5 laps to go, he's very animated on the radio, and they're trying to calm down Big Mo and convince him that a win is within his grasp.
Well, it certainly is, Jack. As we watch the TV screen as we go around 3 laps to go, he really is on the road in the right place and doing a nice job.
I mentioned our stats man, Mike Dennis, and the word is, should it finish the way it is now, DeFerrin 3rd and Zanardi 4th, Alex Zanardi would not wrap up the season points title here in Vancouver.
After all the cars he's passed today.
There's Zanardi. He's running 4th behind Gugelmin, Vassar, DeFerrin. Al Unser Jr.'s 5th. Raul Boisel running 6th. And running 7th is Christian Fittipaldi. Out of this race early in the first lap was Paul Tracy. Also out of the race, Greg Moore. And now down through the start-finish line comes Brazilian Mauricio Gugelmin. And when he crosses, there'll be 2 laps remaining. Gugelmin trying to register the 3rd win for Bruce McCaw and Pac West Racing from Seattle. He's not Sir 2nd, DeFerrin's 3rd.
Yeah, he's not slowing down, Brian, but he's also being a little bit conservative on where he puts the car on the track. He's not getting too close to that extra rubber laying there.
Derek Daly.
Bearing in mind, boys, what happened at Detroit on the very last lap when Gugelmin was leading in exactly this position on the street circuit and he ran out of fuel. I asked Ross Cameron, his team manager, do you have enough fuel? He said, put it like this, at the end of this race at the rate we're running, we'll still have enough fuel to drive this car to Seattle.
Well, I guess they learned their lesson the time before. There's Gugelmin right there. Looks really good. Conservative, but still going fast.
Here's the white flag. 1 lap to go for Maurizio Gugelmin. He has never won on the kart circuit.
Down the long straightaway. And there's Vassar. Into the hairpin turn at the long Chrysler turn there.
He's 34 years of age. Lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Born in Brazil. His best finish so far this season, second at Long Beach. And that is his best ever finish so far. His third year with Pac West Racing. His fifth in kart racing. Drove in Formula One, Bobby, for Leighton House, March, and Jordan from 88 through 92. And as both Derek and Jack have pointed out, led Detroit on the final lap before running out of fuel.
He's still pulling away from him, even on the last lap.
He was 6th in Toronto. He is 1st in Vancouver. Maurizio Gugelmin, raising his right hand in the air, wins his first ever kart race. Jimmy Vassar second, Gilles de Ferran there is third. And Alex Zanardi is fourth. He does not wrap up the points title. That's Christian Fittipaldi down in the final turn. And he wants out of this car and out of there quickly. He was running 7th. Remember, he had the broken leg earlier this year in Australia.
Very bad time to jump out of that car, incidentally.
By the way, the race again, and we'll take one more look at this. Here's what happened. That was Boisel.
That's Boisel, and they all three got tangled up, but I can't tell you exactly why, but he should have stayed in that car. To jump out when the other cars are coming is very dangerous. The cars inside, ironically, are quite safe.
So Maurizio Gugelmin wins in Vancouver, his first IndyCar victory, and the third this year for Bruce McCaw and Pac West Racing. Lundell a winner in Portland and Toronto. Gugelmin here in Vancouver will return in just a minute. Back live in Vancouver, final results. The top Canadian, Greg Moore, was 17th as he completed 63 laps before brushing the wall. Maurizio Gugelmin wins his first ever PPG IndyCar race and is standing by. There he is. Jack, go ahead.
And Brian, they are celebrating in Brazil. They're celebrating in Seattle. They're celebrating here in Vancouver. Welcome to Victory Lane, Mo.
Feels good, I tell you. Today, we felt from the beginning we had a car. The team was just brilliant. The pit stops were just the right call. We drove hard all day, and I tell you, this feels so good that this is hard to describe.
How about patience? How important was patience today for your effort?
Well, we always know this is a long race. It's very bumpy, and fuel consumption is important. So in the beginning, we were very conservative, but we knew we had a car. And then in the end, we just went for it.
You've come so close so many times. You've had so many great runs, and only to have it go down the tubes in the last lap or the last couple of laps. Emotionally, what does it feel like to finally break into Victory Lane?
I tell you, I just feel light. It's just great. We finally done it.
The first person, one of the first people you grabbed was your car owner, Bruce McCaw. You know, he stuck with you. He believed in you. This team has really come of age this year.
Bruce is just the best guy I ever worked for, and I just hope I can give him as many wins as I can get through the end of my career.
Take a look at this smile, Derek Daly. It's going to go on for a long time.
And a man who thought he might have the big smile was Jimmy Vassar. Jimmy, you controlled this for so long and didn't quite have enough for Gugelmin at the end of the day.
No, my car started to deteriorate about halfway. I actually tapped the wall when I was stuck behind Junior. I couldn't see the exit, and I bent the suspension a little bit, which hurt the handling, and then the gearbox about halfway on, too. I was having to old-fashioned clutch it and lift and shift, and it's got worse and worse. And so we were just hanging on there at the end, but you know, I owe a lot to my team, Target Chip Ganassi Racing, and our sponsor Target for putting us in the position to have a good car like that. And how about my teammate Zanardi out there going from back to front? I think he's just doing it for fun. I don't know.
I don't think you know the full story about your teammate Zanardi. You're going to hear more about that later on. Jack Arous.
Well, Derek, let me check and see the size of the neck. Maybe it's a little sore, but a podium finish for Gilles de Ferran and Team Valvoline. It's got to make what happened on Friday be a little bit easier to take.
Yeah, it's, you know, a fantastic result for us today. You know, the car was good right from the start, and I just, you know, kept my head down and kept trying to drive as fast as I could, and team did a good job in the pits. We made a few positions. It's a good result for us. We keep the championship alive, and you know, Zanardi's not careful. We'll take it away from him.
That's a point. The championship, everybody thought it would go away today, that Zanardi would have it, but this Brazilian right here says no. What are we going to see in the next couple of races for Team Valvoline?
Put it this way, I don't give up that easily, and neither does my team. Well, there is a change, there is a will, and there is a hope.
Guys, remember one thing. His car owner was in the heyday of Team Penske, and Bobby Unser, you remember what Derek Walker was like when a championship's up for grabs. It's not too bad to have his car owner in your corner.
Boy, that's for sure, Jack.
Bobby, as we wrap it up here this afternoon, as usual, you have to get to the airport to get back to New Mexico. Some final thoughts on this race. The streak, we've worked all 8 races now in Vancouver. Coming here, this year, the only previous winners were Michael Andretti and Al Unser Jr. The streak stopped. We thought it would be Zanardi, but it was Gugelin. But Zanardi put on a show like I haven't seen for years here today.
But you know, it's so typical. We always have seen a good race here. We've watched little Al, and we've watched Michael do some of these magic things. Zanardi was our little actor, our clown today. I mean, I don't know how many cars. I asked you a while ago, how many cars do you think he's passed today? He's certainly helped make this show.
Well, he's passed a bunch, and he's touched a few. Greg Moore, the top Canadian, ran just over 60 laps before brushing the wall. Paul Tracy went out on the first lap. Moore was driving well here this afternoon.
Well, he did. He did a really good job. And, of course, I predicted he had a good chance to win just because he is smooth and he knows how to make things last. And we know how slippery this track gets at the end. You know?
All right. Don't leave. We want a final word from you. Let's once again go down to Jack Arous.
There are only 37 points for this man in the chase for the championship. Alex Zanardi, this was a difficult day, and you feared this before the race started.
Yeah, well, I thought the problem were going to be different. We had a lot of problem with the brakes, and it's just a shame because we definitely had the speed to win easily the race, but didn't go our way. We're still coming home with a 4th place, and after a incredible race, so I'm pretty glad.
I hesitate to even ask you which were the closest calls because you had a whole handful of them. The last one, it seemed to reflect the frustration when you pulled the wheel off and you were pleading with the crew to try and get the car refired. You knew that there were still precious points available.
I knew, of course, and the important thing for me was not to go a lap down, and I knew I had the speed, and if I would have had the yellow, I could have passed some more cars. I mean, it all went our way, I have to say. With all it happened, we're very, very fortunate to come home with a 4th place, although I think I never drove such a more aggressive race in a day where I should have drove much more conservatively. But when the situation comes, you have to adapt to it, and today was not time to run conservative when I was a lap down. It was time to attack and try to get the best out of this day.
Well, he indeed did attack, and don't forget it, Laguna Seca, he attacked on the last lap there for a victory last year, so things are looking good for Zanardi.
Jack, you should have been here in the booth. When he said I had problem with the brakes, Bobby looked at me and he said, brakes? You gotta be kidding.
You know, what gets me is he's so innocent when he's telling Jack that he's not even smiling. Now, there's hardly anybody he's missed on the track all day. The brakes, if he didn't have brakes, how did he get into the turn so much deeper than anybody else? And he's standing there looking so innocent, saying he had so many problems.
Listen,
that guy was the show.
You have to head out. The American Powerboating Association is having big boat races off Toronto, September 12th to the 14th. You want to come up and work those?
I've had all the excitement I need for a little while. You can have that one.
All right, we'll see you in Toronto next year. Listen, no snowmobiling this winter.
Thank you. And I want to say goodbye to all the Canadians for this year. I'll see you again next year.
All right, Bobby Unser's heading back to Albuquerque. We're going to commercial. We'll return live to Vancouver with more of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. No speeding. Talk to you later. Back live in Vancouver, we're just about set for the official presentations and ceremonies. Maurizio Gugelmin winning for Bruce McCann. Pac West here this afternoon. Once again, here's our Master of Ceremonies, David Kincaid.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Man, was that great or what? What an unbelievable race that was the 1997 edition of the Molson Indy Vancouver. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet and congratulate the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver top 3 finishing drivers and winning team owner. Presenting the award for our 3rd place finisher is Blair Shire of Molson's. Finishing in 3rd place from Walker Racing, would you please welcome and show your appreciation to Gilles de Ferrand. Congratulations, Gilles. Talk about a little bit about the race.
Yeah, it was a good race for us. We had a fantastic race car throughout the race, and we had very good pit stops. You know, we tried to keep the pace as hard as we could throughout the race. Unfortunately, in the second half, we set a slight long brake pedal, but apart from that, it was a great result. The objective today was to finish in front of Zanardi, and that we did.
You have maintained you're still alive. You and Zanardi are now the only 2 people vying for the 1997 championship. That's got to be on your minds.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can to lose the championship, and if he's not careful, we'll take it away from him.
In 3rd place, Gilles de Ferrand. Thanks very much, Gilles. Presenting the award to our 2nd place finisher is Jean Barnett. Finishing in 2nd place from Target Chip Ganassi Racing, the reigning PPG World Cup champion. Please welcome Jimmy Vasser. Nice drive, Jimmy. I think you got the point for the most laps led, but we got to check that. Talk a little bit about your race.
Well, I thought all weekend long we had a good car off the trailer, and we would have a chance to win this race. And you know, Zanardi was running awfully well, but he had his problems, and just kind of biding my time behind Rahal for a while. We finally got around him, and the car was real strong, but that's about the time we developed some horrendous gearbox problems. I was having to lift and clutch to shift it, and still missing gears. And but I owe it all to my Target Chip Ganassi Racing team. You know, we've had a tough season, and we put our heads down to figure out what our problems were, and it's nice to be back in the hunt. And I think this is something of it's going to be like this from now on again this year, and hopefully next year. You know, our sponsors, Target, they've been behind us. We got the best sponsors in the business and a great team. And, you know, Zanardi's a fantastic driver. I think he's going to win this championship, and we're going to be back-to-back champions. The only thing I can do is see if I can come back, get him to do a best 2 out of 3 next year, huh?
A little bit more information about the last time during the middle section you were behind behind Al Unser. Had a hard time getting by him, but it paid off for him.
Yeah, you know, Al was trying to save his lap, and that's part of racing. And I flat spotted my tire when I was trying to get by him one time, and I even hit the wall and bent my suspension, which is another problem I had pretty bad on the left front because I was right on his gearbox. I couldn't see the exit. So, you know, that was just one of the woes that we had today, but I'm happy to be second, happy to be back on the podium, and we're going to be moving up in the points.
Congratulations, Jimmy. Good luck in the final 2 races of the 1997 season. Now, to win a PPG Kart World Series event takes a strong team performance, and accepting the winning team award for Pac West Racing, would you please welcome Bruce McCann. In the shadow of the building that your brother's sports teams play in, this has got to be pretty sweet, Bruce.
This is fantastic. We love the Northwest, and to win up here in Vancouver is just great. It's a wonderful race. The Canadian fans are fantastic. I'm personally so proud of the whole Pac West team. This is for all you guys, and especially for Big Mo. This is a great victory for him. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Bruce McCann. Congratulations. And now, the winning driver of the 8th annual Molson Indy Vancouver. His first win in Vancouver, his first win of '97, in fact, his first win on the PPG Kart World Series, came in his 67th start from Pac West Racing, the driver of the number 17, Hollywood Reynard. Let's hear it for Big Mo, Maurizio Gugelmin. Maurizio, congratulations. There is a major party breaking out behind the victory podium with the Brazilian contingent waving the flags and putting on a show. Your teammate told me Friday, don't worry about Big Mo, it's just a matter of time. Prophetic.
Well, I think he was right, but it's always hard. We've been working very hard. My team has come a long way. I'm just so proud with my guys that basically you need their work to give the car for you, and today we had the car. The pit strategy was just right, and then at the end, with the package that we have, with Mercedes engines that always run so efficient, and the Firestone tires today, again, were the tires to beat, was just up to me to keep my concentration. But I just would like to dedicate that for my team. This win is very important for me. It's my first win, and I tell you what, I just can't wait for the next one. Thank you, all of you.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. There is your winner of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver, Maurizio Gugelmin. While we have a moment, I should remind you that if you want to avoid the traffic jams that may be building up around the race site as you're leaving the facility, I want to remind you that the Motorsports Show presented by Chrysler Canada is still going on. It's still open. Will be under the dome for a few hours yet. So if you haven't had a chance to drop under the dome and take a look at those beautiful machines,
The Molson Indy Vancouver on CBC. Brought to you by Molson Canadian. By the Players Racing Team, proud supporter of motorsports in Canada for over 35 years. By Chrysler, proud to be a sponsor of the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. By Midas, for new longer-lasting performance friction carbon metallic brake pads. By Pennzoil. There are no limits. And by MTS.
Great weather here on the West Coast this afternoon, and a very exciting race as Big Mo, Maurizio Gugelmin, wins his first IndyCar race, winning the 1997 Molson Indy Vancouver. Here's an important programming note for people watching now Ontario East at the top of the hour, bottom of the hour if you're in Newfoundland. Peter Mansbridge will host a CBC News special on Diana, the Princess of Wales, and the tragedy that occurred just about 24 hours ago in Paris, France. Again, that's coming up in approximately 45 minutes. Peter Mansbridge and the Princess Diana News special from Ontario East. Viewers from Manitoba West, people here in British Columbia, will see the news special, Diana, the Princess of Wales, tonight at 7 o'clock local times. Here this afternoon again, we'll take a look at the results and the PPG standings. It's Maurizio Gugelmin winning. On the podium, Jimmy Vasser, the defending overall champion. Alex Zanardi put on quite a show here today. He passed everyone. He hit several cars. He is the points leader, but DeFerrin can still catch him with 2 races to go. The top Canadian, Greg Moore, finished 17th. The other Canadian, and that, of course, is Paul Tracy, went out early in the race. Zanardi is still the points leader. Just a reminder as we say good afternoon this afternoon, let's show you the football games, and Labor Day means football in CFL. The CFL on CBC, a blackout in effect in Calgary. Game 2 comes from Hamilton. The final IndyCar race, check local listings, is next Sunday. Now for Jackaroot, Derek Daly and Bobby Unser, I'm Brian Williams. A wild afternoon. Hope you enjoyed it. Good afternoon from the Molson Indy, Vancouver.
CBC Sports, home of the champions.
This is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.